Chapter 1, Help, what have I been reborn into? Anybody? Anybody? Mother asterisk 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 What the hell was I reborn into? Since he was reborn into this world, Subai himself couldn't even count how long had passed, because he was reborn in an eggshell. Inside the eggshell, it was cramped and crowded, and there was no sunlight, and there was no way to know about the outside world. If it wasn't for his limited ability to poke through this hard shell, Subai would have long ago broken out of the shell. Only reborn over such a long time, Subai still has some discoveries. For example, sometimes he would hear some brushing sounds. It was like the sound of waves washing over the beach, so Subai guessed that he might be at the beach at the moment. However, the thing that worried Subai the most at the moment was not the fact that he couldn't break his shell and come out. It wasn't that he couldn't break his shell and come out. Rather, he was afraid that he would be reborn as a creature like Kuon. That would be really bad. Subai no longer dared to hope that he would be a peacock or a penguin, or any of those oviparous protected animals. He felt that as long as he did not reborn after his only home Kuon or breeding Kuon on good, save the time to let people chant for a lifetime. Of course, the main thing is that Subai does not want to be born not long ago. It will be turned into a dish of food, served on the table for people to enjoy. Hey, why is there an egg here? Just as Subai was thinking, a sudden burst of clear and spiritual girls came in from outside the eggshell, and next, Subai realized that his body was actually surging involuntarily. It swayed inside the eggshell, which gave him a somewhat heavenly feeling. Subai naturally knew that he should have been picked up by someone else, and listening to this voice, it seemed to be a beautiful woman. Sister Yangmi, let's go quickly. Mister, he and their side are already waiting for us. Okay, wait a bit, I picked up an egg, let's bring it back together. I didn't expect that the program we're participating in this time isn't a recording, but a full live broadcast mode. It's kinda new. It's my first time to participate in this kind of 24-hour live variety show. At this moment, Subai inside the eggshell, the entire person became surprised. What's the situation? I didn't hear it wrong just now, did I? Yangmi, teacher he? Aren't these all stars of inner entertainment? Could it be that just as Subai was thinking, he suddenly felt as if he was wrapped up in something. It was hot and very comfortable. Turning around, there was a burst of trembling and shaking. Subai naturally knew that this was someone holding his eggshell and taking himself away. Reborn over for such a long time, Subai finally ran into someone, which made him very excited. Of course, on top of the excitement, Subai was still a little scared. After all, he himself was not a person. Don't get it wrong, when the time comes to be eaten by others will not be good. Just as Subai was pondering, the shaking sensation around him suddenly faded. Turning around, he heard a youthful male voice enter the eggshell. And, hello, Sister Honey. Another slightly more stable voice followed. Nini is here? Yangmi smiled, and greeted everyone with, Pumba, Mr. He, you guys are also good. By the way, where did Mr. Huang go? The people outside were still talking, while Subai inside the eggshell was in his mind, exclaiming, can't be wrong, looks like I've really been picked up by these stars. Subai was probably still a bit ignorant of Yangmi and all the other stars' voices, but as a variety show fan in his previous life, he relied on watching variety shows all day long. He knew Mr. He's voice by heart, and Mr. He's voice was very special, steady with a bit of gentleness. This is something that ordinary men can't even imitate. That was why Subai dared to be so sure that the person outside was Mr. He. Mushroom House, this should be days of yearning. What a guy. Looks like I've been reborn into a parallel world. Inside the program days to come, Yangmi and teacher He and the others had a great conversation. At this time, Mr. He also noticed the giant egg in Yangmi's arms. It was then that he opened his mouth and asked, Mimi, what is this thing you're holding? How come there's such a big egg? Could it be a gift that you just came to the mushroom house and brought to everyone? Pumba, who was at the side, spoke up. Sister Me, did you bring this so that we can eat fried eggs on the first night of broadcasting today? Hearing this, Yangmi couldn't help but give Pang Pang a blank look and pretended to scold her, saying, Brat, you just know how to eat. Turning around, only to see Yangmi explaining towards everyone, she said, this egg is not for eating. I picked it up from the beach on the way here, so I don't know what kind of egg he is. At these words, everyone nodded. However, they saw Mr. He staring at the egg and said suspiciously, this egg looks so strange, the lines on it, it seems like it's been carved with scales. Ha! People nodded in agreement. Not to mention that Mr. He couldn't recognize what this egg was. I'm afraid that even if Mr. Huang came, he definitely wouldn't be able to recognize what kind of egg this was. The reason was simple. No one had ever seen an egg with scale-like patterns, and the size of this egg is also very strange. General countryside chickens, ducks and geese, simply cannot lay such a large egg. Even ostrich eggs, I'm afraid to put in front of this egg held in Boss Yang's arms. It should be 3 times smaller. Coupled with the eggshell, very attractive lines. It simply didn't look like something people had seen before. For a time, it wasn't just the stars on the scene who were talking. Even the netizens who had already been watching for a long time in the live broadcast room. At this moment, they were also already blowing up. This egg does look so strange. Boss Young, in which seaside did you pick it up? I'm going to try to pick it up. The lines on this egg, why does it look so familiar? How do I feel in dragon scale lines? A bit like upstairs. Are you kidding me? If you ask me, this is something that some unscrupulous merchants from the toy factory just threw in here. Actually, I also think that an egg that looks this strange might be made by a toy factory. It's impossible. This egg doesn't look like a fake. It's just a bit strange. Then let's keep it. If it's real, let's see what will hatch out in the end. The netizens in the live broadcast room were still talking about it, and the few star artists on the scene. In the beginning, people really didn't pay much attention, but now, all the energies of Yang-mi and Mr. He and the others were also attracted to this weird giant egg. They were all attracted to it. The people at the scene were also all discussing curiously what kind of thing was inside this egg. As for Subai at this moment, he was also completely confused. What the hell? It's not a chicken, duck, goose or ostrich. Old man won't be a lizard. Chapter 2, picked up by Big Meanie and taken to the mushroom house? Honey, you're here? What's that in your arms? Just as Subai was wondering what exactly he was, an incomparably light young female voice once again entered his eggshell. Crap, isn't this Sister Zifeng? Admittedly, although Subai was reborn as an egg, and up until now, he still hadn't figured out what exactly he was. However, he was fortunate enough to be able to meet Yang-mi, Zifeng, and the rest of his favorite stars from his previous life. This still made Subai very excited. Yang-mi smiled and greeted Zifeng's sister, who had hurriedly arrived. Sister Zifeng, you've gotten prettier again after not seeing you for many days. Sister Zifeng smiled and was just about to make a few backhanded compliments. But in the next moment, her attention was attracted by the strange egg in Yang-mi's arms. Sister Honey, what kind of egg is this? Yang-mi smiled, and told Sister Zifeng the ins and outs of what had just happened again, and expressed her intention to want to hatch and raise this egg. Just after she finished speaking, she saw Zifeng's younger sister laugh delicately and say, since you were able to pick it up in the wild, it seems that you and this egg, Sister Honey, are also very much related. It seems like we're going to have another new member in the mushroom house. Saying that, Sister Zifeng even touched, in passing, the strange egg in Yang-mi's arms. With a twinkle in her eye, she saw Zifeng's younger sister quaintly say, Sister Honey, since you're raising it, then you're its mom. Subai suddenly felt he was wrapped tighter by that soft mass. Wrapped tighter. It made him so comfortable that he was in a bit of a daze. QQ bouncing. I really want to be, for the rest of my life, only to see Yang-mi tighten the egg she was holding, once again into her arms, and then opened her mouth to say, right, since I'm going to raise it, then naturally I'm its mom. Tutaying her mouth, Yang-mi murmured, just being unaware of this child of mine. What exactly is it? Sister Zifeng smiled. Mimi sister, don't need to be anxious. Wait for this little guy to break out of his shell. Don't you know what it is? Sister Zifeng placed the basket of vegetables she had just finished picking in her hands on the table, while saying towards Pang Pang, brother, since a new member is coming to the family, it's still Sister Mini's good oldest child, why don't we go make it a little nest? Pang Pang didn't think much about it, he just pointed at the kennel not far away and said, don't bother, right, little O and little H's can be borrowed. Yang-mi froze, how could her egg sleep in a dog kennel? Once again tightened Subai in his arms, almost pinned his entire egg, almost in the middle of the two little Ninis. Turning to Yang-mi, she saw Yang-mi urgently say, no, just let me sleep with it. Other places are too dangerous, I don't feel at ease. Hearing this, Zifeng's sister and Pang Pang, on the contrary, did not have much of a reaction, but the netizens in the live broadcast room were a bit unable to sit still. Crouch, what kind of treatment is this? Once you come to Mushroom House, you'll be dong joie. Oh honey sister, you don't use pie squeeze it. I'm really envious of the deaf. I want in this strange egg swap life. I'm going to swap lives with this weird egg. I've grown up and my life is not as good as an egg. I'm so envious. I can't help but feel envy in my heart. Sister Mimi, do you still need a son? I'd like to be your godson, too. I want to be your son too. You don't have to sleep with me, just take a shower with me. Wow, 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 wow. The colorful wolves in the live broadcast room were talking, and at this moment, Yang-mi had already hugged Subai and entered her personal lounge, only to see Yang-mi gently placing Subai on her bed. She was also very careful and covered him with a quilt. After arranging Subai, Yangmi used a piece of cloth to cover the camera in the room. Having just tossed and turned for half a day, her body was stained with a lot of dust. Yangmi changed her clothes. Dum 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 dum. Two dun dun sounds came out. Subai, who was inside the eggshell, heard the blood spurting. Crap ah. This sound, it's worthy of being a great meme ah. Realizing that he was currently still inside the eggshell, it would hurt his body if he thought wildly. Subai hastily calmed down his mind. Only just now it was really a bit exciting. Subai was still a bit throbbing. He twisted his body inside the eggshell. At the moment, that was all he could do. Only while twisting his body, Subai realized that it wasn't just on the eggshell that people had just talked about. On his own body, there were also a lot of scales. This made Subai a little strange. It's not. What exactly did Lousy regenerate into? An oviparous animal that already has scales on its body before it's even born. Could it be a fish? Impossible. Snake? That's even more impossible. I have 4 limbs ah. Hemp. It couldn't be a pangolin. Could it? That's not right either. At the same time, while Subai continued to study what exactly he was a thing, on the other side, there were also people who were studying what exactly he was a thing. The program hadn't been on for long. He saw Mr. Huang, Dusty, walking back from the fields outside. Father Huang, you're back. I'm telling you, Sister Honey brought back a very odd egg. As soon as Mr. Huang's side returned, the young and active duo of Pang Pang and Sister Zifeng, they chattered and told Mr. Huang about what had just happened. And when Mr. Huang, after listening to Pang Pang's duo, he raised an eyebrow, and a trace of doubt arose in his heart. What kind of egg is that big? Could it be an ostrich? But then he saw Zifeng's sister say, it shouldn't be. That strange egg is much bigger than an ostrich egg, and there are a lot of scales on top of the egg. It looks especially weird. Pumba scratched his head and spoke. It's probably a crocodile egg. It floated over from inside the water. After all, crocodiles also have a lot of scales on their bodies. Listening to the two young men, Teacher Huang shook his head helplessly, leaving other things aside. Just from the descriptions from the mouths of Zifeng's sister and Pang Pang, Teacher Huang could be certain that that egg was definitely not a humpback, or some kind of crocodile or something like that. As for what the egg actually was, before seeing it, Mr. Huang himself couldn't be sure, but once he heard that the egg was so strange, in Mr. Huang's heart, he still kept an eye out, only to see him open his mouth and say, towards the group of directors not far away, Director, I think we should pay attention to this matter. If it's not possible, let's let our program team go and report it. Don't pick up a rare protected animal and come back. It'll be troublesome at that time. Not far away, Director Wang Zhengyu nodded in recognition, while also sighing in his heart. It's also Mr. Huang, who can consider everything so thoughtfully. Seeing this, Mr. Huang also nodded his head and, alright, it's meal time, I'll go cook first. What's the matter? Let's eat first and then talk about it. Chapter 3, Yangmi, what's going on? I picked up a dragon? Ka-ching. Subai curled up inside the eggshell, dazed and confused. He didn't know exactly how much time had passed. Suddenly a crunching sound came out, pulling him back to reality from his delirious wanderings. I'm going. That's the sound of an eggshell breaking. Hearing this crunching sound, Subai's heart went wild with joy. Could it be that I'm finally going to hatch? Subai completely couldn't hold back the agitation in his heart. He desperately twisted his body, following the crisp ringing sound of the eggshell, a forceful collision with the barrier in front of him. Splat! There was another crunching sound, only to see that the strange egg on the bed, under the successive shaking, unexpectedly rolled directly to the ground. It shattered open. A shimmering light surfaced in front of his eyes, and Subai felt a bit blinding. This made him unable to resist squinting his eyes. However, at this moment, his mood was all happy. Came out. Old me has finally come out. Seeing the sky again, having just broken out of his shell, Subai was still a bit weak, but right now, he was already able to, with strong support, stand up. Oops, I do have limbs ah. It looks like Koan or something, is impossible. Subai let out a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't Koan, anything was good, but randomly as if he thought of something, his brows tightened again and, I go, don't be a ing turtle, I knocked ah. Just as Subai was still secretly pondering, a curvaceous, plump and incomparable figure hurriedly ran in from outside. Yangmi, who was wearing a halter nightgown, had a panicked face at the moment. She was startled by the sound before she ran in so hurriedly. By the looks of it, she was afraid that something would happen to Subai in the egg, and when Yangmi saw Subai on the ground, who had broken out of his shell, it was a little bigger than a puppy, and it was shaking as it walked, a pair of big eyes, very soft and cute appearance. Yangmi was first stunned, it then let out a gush of astonishment. Wow! So cute! Shrieking in surprise, only to see Yang-mi pick up Subai on the ground and once again swept him into her arms. Subai once again felt the too little honey grandeur, the soft yet very smooth and warm touch, as well as the fragrant flavor. Subai did not hold back and stuck out his tongue and licked 2 mouths on it. So white, so fragrant. And at this time, the other star artists inside the mushroom house, they were also attracted in by a strange noise just now. Upon seeing this sight in front of them, everyone was first stunned, but then they saw Mr. He say, Mimi, be careful, don't get bitten. Teacher He's words were said out of concern, so Yang-mi didn't take it seriously. Looking at this cute little guy in her arms, Yang-mi's eyes with this pity, waving her hand, she said, "It's okay, Teacher He won't bite me. After all, I also count him as half a mother." Feeling the fluffiness of the 2 ants above his head, Subai could not help but sigh in his heart and say, "Who says it isn't? Really having milk as mother ah." While sighing, he saw the little tail behind Subai. Surprisingly, cannot help but unconsciously shake up. The appearance was very dexterous and cute. Seeing this scene, Zifang's sister's eyes almost melted and, "You guys, look, this little guy is so cute, and with his tail wagging so happily, it looks like he really likes Sister Honey. He doesn't really think of Sister Honey as his mother, does he?" Hearing this, Boss Yang's heart was even more delighted. The arm holding Subai tightened once again. The force was just right. While not squeezing Subai, it also made him have a more intimate contact with his 2 ants. And at this time, but saw Pang Pang, who was standing foolishly on the side, issued a slightly puzzled voice. "And, oviparous animals have tails. What is this thing ah?" Originally, people thought that after the eggshell hatched, people would be able to know what kind of creature was inside. But right now, people still couldn't figure out what exactly he was. At this moment, it was then that Pang Pang once again opened his mouth and said, Why is it a bit like a dragon? Isn't this a bit like a dragon ah? A dragon?" Upon hearing this, the people present were once again stunned, and then they saw people's gazes, once again gathering on Subai's body. But the next thing that happened was that everyone's expressions became a bit face to face, because this little guy, the shining scales around his body, the wagging tail, and the cute little claws and paws, looked a bit like a dragon. The netizens in the live broadcast room, too, had exploded. "I go, claws like an eagle and scales on its body. It can't really be a dragon. Oh my god, why is it so weird? It's a dragon in the egg. Don't talk nonsense upstairs. Dragons are myths and legends. They can't appear in reality. It's supposed to be some kind of rare creature that looks like a dragon." Seeing Pang Pang still talking nonsense about the little guy resembling a dragon or something, worried that the program would be messed up, Teacher He hurriedly rewarded him with a violent chestnut and interrupted, saying, "Stop talking nonsense. Where did a dragon come from? This is probably a lizard or something." Subai at the moment was also already bored out of his mind. He also didn't expect that it had already come out of its shell. Other people still didn't recognize what exactly he was. Like a dragon? Like a lizard? What exactly is the old man? At this time, Subai, who had adapted to the light, in a trance, his eyes were able to open a little. As soon as he opened his eyes, Subai saw behind himself the swinging tail above the mauve-colored scales. "I wipe. Old man should not." Just then, Subai hadn't had time to take a closer look. He only felt that his line of sight was covered by another softness. Sister Zifeng, excitedly, picked up Subai from Yang-mi's arms, and then exclaimed, "So cute." At this time, it was then that Pang Pang covered the head that was gently hit by Teacher He, and opened her mouth to say, "Why don't I go call Mr. Huang to take a look?" Hearing this, everyone nodded as well. In everyone's eyes, Teacher Huang was an erudite and talented being with an amazing IQ. In a certain men's club program, the nickname Divine Calculator was loud and clear, so everyone felt that the knowledgeable Teacher Huang should be able to recognize it. This little guy, what exactly was it? Why don't we take a picture of this little guy and send it to the top of the scarf to see if anyone can recognize what he really is? Hearing Teacher He say this, Yang Mi and Sister Zifeng both nodded as well. Afterwards, the 2 beauties successively hugged Subai and posed for various passes to take pictures. Afterwards, they posted all these beautiful photos on their necklaces. Asked the netizens, "Can anyone recognize this little guy? Exactly what kind of animal?" And when the stars learned that Mr. Huang was busy in the kitchen at the moment, and couldn't take a break, Yang Mi and other stars were also directly holding Subai and brought him to the kitchen. Chapter 4 Subai Bad, Take Master as a Pet Inside the office. At this moment, Zhuo Wei, the famous paparazzo of the Dragon Kingdom, is talking to his team, that is, his disciple Wang Miao. Together, they were searching on the internet, looking for the current status of major stars, as well as some other information. For the paparazzi, Want to find the best material to explode? That must be on the network. The stars of all kinds of news and recent developments. There is a three-pointed understanding of the line. After all, whether it is black information, or what other news, are not so good to burst out, if these stars and artists do not have a fundamental understanding. In the explosion of the time once the explosion of the wrong, or the explosion of the news is not true words, then at that time, the one who suffers can be Zhuo Wei. At the moment, this paparazzi master and disciple duo is on the scarf, searching for the major stars, recently sent out the dynamic in news. They are doing this. On the one hand, it was to collect information about the star artists. On the other hand, it was also to look for the next prey. Just at this moment, just then, he saw that on disciple Wang Miao's side, there was a strange movement coming from him. Master, look at this photo. Crap, isn't this a dragon? This scales, this lines, is the face was blocked up most of the time? Cannot see too much. Master, you hurry to see. Wang Miao was excited, handing his cell phone to Zhuo Wei, who was busy. At this moment, Zhuo Wei is studying the material of a certain top-stream middle score pigeon, wanting to see from it, is there anything good to expose out? Seeing his disciple, he was so excited. Zhuo Wei was also surprised and took over the cell phone, checking out the pictures on it. And when Zhuo Wei saw the pictures on the cell phone, with just a glance, he also couldn't help but suck in a mouthful of cold air. This guy is really a bit like that. But he saw Wang Miao open his mouth and excitedly said, Master, this is the photo that Yang Mi and Sister Zifeng sent out during the live broadcast from the mushroom house. It looks like this pet of theirs. There's really something strange about it. And on the internet, it's also caused quite a bit of heat. Otherwise, let's go and steal the mushroom house. If we figure out the information about this dragon, when we dump it, I don't know how much we can sell. Snap. Before Wang Miao finished his words, his head was slapped by Zhuo Wei. Master, why are you hitting me? Zhuo Wei was so angry that he almost laughed, and then said in a tone of hatred that he said, Are you stupid? I just said like. I didn't say yes. Can't you tell the difference between the meaning of these two words? Besides, if you're a normal person, you can figure it out, right? Can this guy be a real dragon? Are there really dragons in this world? That's so stupid. Besides, there are so many pairs of eyes staring at the mushroom house's live broadcast. If this dragon was real, why would you still have a hot meal? Being educated by Zhuo Wei, Wang Miao's head couldn't help but lower. I'm sorry, master. I've been a bit foolish lately. Zhuo Wei shook his head, signaling that it was nothing. But then again, just now, those words of Zhuo Wei, although they were said so, but he himself, rather, he really hoped that the dragon in the photo was real. After all, it was a creature inside a legend, and it was also the root of the origin of the Dragon Kingdom, one of the ancestors of Huaxia. If one could really see a glimpse of it, Zhuo Wei felt that it would be worth it even if he died. Shaking his head, he discarded the distractions in his mind. Zhuo Wei restudied the pigeon. After all, although dragons were good, they were ultimately just myths. In the end, it was really not as reliable as studying Kuan. How can there be dragons? Those are just things from mythological stories. At this moment, the program director Wang stood with Mr. Huang. Director Wang had just shown it to Mr. Huang as well. Inside the live broadcast room, all kinds of pop-ups about dragons were constantly being swiped out. The screen was filled with the word dragon. Mr. Huang couldn't help but spit out a few words to the netizens in the live broadcast room, and advised everyone to be a bit more sensible. I say friends, it's better for everyone to stop talking nonsense. Things like dragons don't exist. If it did exist, it would have come out a long time ago. Besides, everyone has never seen a real dragon, so how can they just conclude whether a creature is a dragon or not? And when the netizens in the live broadcast room, everyone was listening to Mr. Huang's words. Immediately, many netizens also reacted. What Mr. Huang said makes sense. How can there be dragons in this world? It seems like we were too excited just now. I think it's better for everyone not to swipe randomly. Yes. If you just swipe like that in the live broadcast room, it's easy to mess up the tempo and affect the program team. The netizens debated, and after a discussion, everyone also stopped, brushing inside the pop-up area, leading the rhythm of the operation. Of course, there were still some netizens who didn't listen to advice, still inside the live broadcast room, swiping the screen and leading the rhythm. It was only that these netizens were only a small portion, and couldn't afford to make any big waves first. Everyone didn't pay much attention to it. After persuading the netizens, Mr. Huang also couldn't help but twist his head, glancing at his side, the Subai in Yangmi's arms that was staring with big watery eyes, looking around. At this moment, Subai could be said to be exceptionally happy. With his little tail wagging, he was much more cheerful than both little H and little O. However, Although this little guy's appearance was incredibly cute, but how could this be a dragon? At most, it was clearly a dog with a thick tail. Just see Mr. Huang open his mouth and say, I think we'd better find some time. Hurry up and send this little guy away. Let him return to nature. After all, we've already got a little one. We can't afford to keep more. Besides, this little guy, if it's some kind of wild protected animal, then it'll be a problem when the time comes. While talking, Mr. Huang was surprisingly also attracted by Su Bai's cute appearance. Surprisingly, he was unable to resist taking 2 steps forward and touching Su Bai's butt. Feeling his butt being touched, Su Bai's body was shaken, and a wave of displeasure surged up in his heart. I go, what are you doing? What are you touching? Playing the hooligan aren't you? Only to see Su Bai baring his teeth and hissing twice towards teacher Huang who was touching his butt. Su Bai thought that he was already fierce now. However, in the eyes of the star artists around him, the action he had just taken had clearly turned into an incomparably cute expression. It was soft and adorable. This kind of appearance was almost melting the hearts of the several beauties on the scene. Yang Ni couldn't help but, once again, tighten Su Bai in her arms. You're so cute. Zifeng's sister, who was on the side, also followed and chimed in. Wow, soft and cuddly. I'd like to have one too. Looking at the two beauties, they looked at themselves in that doting manner. Su Bai was first stunned, and then exclaimed in his heart, Agu, bad. This is taking the master as a pet. Chapter 5 Eating meat and vegetables? Yang Ni, he should eat milk, right? No matter how it was just now. At this moment, every one of the celebrity artists on the scene were also a bit hungry. Mr. Huang didn't delay any longer. After packing up the pots and pans inside the kitchen, he began to stir-fry and cook today's meal. It had to be said that Mr. Huang's cooking skills were indeed very good. Before long, the kitchen became fragrant. The aroma drifted outside along the kitchen, spreading to the entire village. One didn't know whether it was because Mr. Huang's cooking skills were too good, or was it that he had been hungry for too long. Anyway, Su Bai also felt that Mr. Huang's fried dishes were just too fragrant. Just letting people smell it, it was very appetizing. As for the network uploaded, all sorts of about yearning for the terrier, yellow fart gui xiang and so on. It was pure bull ********. At this time, Yang Mi said, look, this little guy is still looking towards Mr. Huang's side. Upon hearing this, teacher he and the others all looked towards Su Bai in his arms. However, they saw Su Bai stretching his little head and looking towards the kitchen not far away. The place where his eyes were focused was none other than teacher Huang, who was busy. Sister Zifeng opened her mouth and said, it couldn't be that this little guy is hungry, right? Wanting to eat something? As soon as these words came out, Pang Pang opened her mouth as if she thought of something and asked, right, what exactly does this little guy eat? Yeah, is he a meat eater or a vegetarian? Listening to the conversation between Pang Pang and Zifeng's sister, teacher he on the side finally couldn't help but interrupt and say, idiot, who's a little animal that was born eating meat and grass? If this little guy is hungry, he should definitely eat milk. Teacher he's words caused both Pang Pang and Sister Zifeng to be stunned. After reacting, both youngsters scratched their heads in embarrassment. But at this time, Yang Mi opened her mouth and said, but if we want to drink milk, we don't have milk here either. Su Bai was a bit unhappy, shrugging his little body, rubbing hard in Yang Mi's arms. Oh, why not? Isn't there milk on my head? Only to see teacher he smiled, and then got up and brought the show's endorsed tranquility milk. This is organic milk. It should be drinkable. Give the little one a taste of this milk. Seeing that there was milk, Yang Mi wasn't being vague. While saying thank you, she took the milk from Mr. He's hands. Unscrewing the cap, she handed it to Su Bai's little mouth in her arms. Come little one, hungry, drink some of this and try it. The netizens in the live broadcast room, after seeing this scene, for a while everyone was a bit unable to resist again. Wow, Boss Young personally breastfeeding. This little guy's treatment is also too good, right? When will I be able to drink the milk personally fed by Boss Young? This treatment is too high standard, isn't it? Big Nini breastfeeding can't be bought for any amount of money, but this little guy is cute. No wonder Boss Yang likes him so much. This little guy is lucky to have been picked up by Mr. Yang, but if he was picked up by the villagers passing by, he wouldn't be so sure. The netizens in the live broadcast room were talking a lot. At this moment, the mouth touched the fragrant milk, and then swallowed into the belly. Su Bai as a whole, drank comfortably, so much so that when he was lying on his back in Yang Mi's arms, his several small pink paws were fluttering in excitement. So cute. And this adorable scene even made Zifeng's sister, Yang Mi, and even teacher he, letting out bursts of emotional sounds. People's hearts were almost melting from watching, and when Su Bai finished half a bottle of milk and was almost full, he realized that he had a lot more strength in his body, too. For a while, he actually wanted to move his muscles. unable to resist the urge to move around in his heart. Subai found the right opportunity to take advantage of Yangmi's inattention and jumped out of her arms in one long leap. He then landed on the ground, and several star artists on the scene. When everyone saw Subai walking on the ground, that wobbly, soft and cuddly appearance, in an instant, everyone again let out that sound as if their hearts were melted. It was not just the people at the scene. Subai's adorable appearance, but also attracted a lot of netizens on the network to watch. This action, surprisingly, was to make the original calm popularity of the live broadcast room all rose a lot. Looking at the live broadcast room, the rising popularity, as well as the netizens, there were pop-ups praising Subai for being very cute. The program director, Director Wang, who had just wanted to contact the team and was ready to send Subai away, completely stopped the movements in his hands. The rise in popularity in the live broadcast room, I'm afraid it's not all attracted by this little guy. After a moment of pondering in his heart, Director Wang walked inside the kitchen and pulled Teacher Huang, who was busy cooking, to the side. Teacher Huang, I think that otherwise we should let this little guy participate in the program, right, Mr. Huang stared blankly, and then asked, why is that, Mr. Wang? It's not that I don't want to keep this little guy, it's mainly because there are already 2 pets in the mushroom house. Besides, this little guy is very strange looking. It wouldn't be good if it's a degree of protection or something. Hearing Mr. Huang's words, Director Wang first nodded in recognition, then he shook his head again. Teacher Huang, listen to what I'm telling you. Just now this little guy has increased the popularity of our live broadcast room by quite a bit, and the netizens in the live room, most of the pop-ups are discussing this little guy. I think having him in can bring a lot of help to our program. Hearing these words, Teacher Huang was stunned again. He didn't expect Subai to be able to bring so much popularity to the live broadcast. Turning around, he saw Teacher Huang nod his head. If that's the case, in fact, the reason why this season of Days to Go was live-streamed, it was because the previous installments, the airplay suddenly became dismal, and the last season was not as good as the last, and this time, the program switched to live broadcasting in order to completely change its face, reversing the trend of the program's continuous decline in airplay. Thinking of this, he saw Mr. Huang say, if this little guy can increase the program's traffic, then we really should keep him. Subai jumped from Yangmi's arms to the ground. Originally, he wanted to move his muscles and find a mirror to look at himself. After all, he really didn't know what exactly he was. It was always necessary to think of a way to figure this thing out. It was only the sun outside that was just too comfortable. The feeling that shone on his body made Subai feel soft and lazy. In an instant, he didn't want to move half a step anymore. Let's lie down for a while first. Seeing Subai lying on the ground, he rolled over twice, and even stretched his waist along the way. And this adorable scene, again, caused Yangmi and Zifling's sister on the side to let out a whoop. Wow, so cute. Chapter 6, Help, I'm really not a vegetarian. The netizens in the live broadcast room were also adored by the little guy. Time passed by minute by minute. The popularity of the live broadcast room also rose more and more. Not only that, there were also many people who were brushing their screens. The little baby is really too cute. If I were a girl, I would definitely sleep with it every day. The little friend is so cute. I really want to go and see it in person. These are the contents of the pop-up screen. In addition to these pop-ups, there were countless gifts and rewards. Subai didn't care that much. Anyway, he now ate and slept, and when he woke up, he continued to play. The days were simply beautiful. Only, after an hour, Subai, however, suddenly frowned, only to see Mr. Huang walking towards the side. I just communicated with the recording group, and they allowed this little guy to continue staying inside our program. Teacher Huang said smilingly to Subai, his eyes filled with tenderness and kindness. It was obvious that he really liked this cute little guy. Aha, then thank you, Teacher Huang, Yangni said sweetly, a bright and incomparable smile on her face. Now Subai had also become the permanent staff of the program. Now, the other members were even happier. The netizens who were watching the live broadcast were even more envious and jealous. Ha ha ha, this is great. This little guy has finally stayed on our program. We'll have to take more pictures of him later. Yeah, this little guy is so cute. Mom, it's going to be with Nini all day long. Not only that, it might even have to sleep in the same bed. I hate it. A crowd of netizens also could not help but spit out. But these were things that Subai did not care about in the slightest. He was enjoying the rare tranquility, sunbathing and enjoying the feeling of the breeze, although such a time would soon disappear. But at least at this moment, Subai felt very beautiful. And just at this moment, Subai suddenly realized that a strong and incomparable fragrance was actually coming from the distance. That familiar feeling caused Subai's spirit to be immediately shaken. At the same time, his stomach started to rumble. That milk just now didn't top the hunger it was just a watery satiety. On the other side, the barbecue meal that Chef Huang had prepared for a day was finally finished. Today's dinner could be described as sumptuous. The red chili oil was poured over the tender and delicious kebabs, chicken and mushroom soup, revealing freshness, combined with golden brown chicken pieces, and bright green bok choy leaves, and fresh wild berries. It exuded a tantalizing fragrance that was appetizing. Su Bai, in particular, had long been starving to the point where her chest was pressed against her back. A pair of round eyes were staring at those delicacies. It was as if they were going to pounce on them at any moment. Teacher Huang, this handicraft of yours, it's a little too impressive, isn't it? Looking at the colorful and fragrant meals on the table, Yang Mi couldn't help but marvel. Where? It's just me practicing when I'm idle and bored on weekdays. Teacher Huang humbly waved his hand, and then he greeted the few people and hurriedly took their seats. Yang Mi held Su Bai by her side. She took her chopsticks and picked up the skewer as if she was lightly practicing, and took a bite. Yang Mi covered Su Bai's head with her palm and rubbed it like she was coaxing a puppy. Su Bai, on the other hand, squinted his eyes and stared at the food on the table, gulping in his throat with longing in his eyes. Is the little baby hungry? Right at this moment, someone finally saw through Su Bai's inner vulnerability. As Zifang's sister's words fell, the rest of the people also looked at Su Bai. Ow! Su Bai, who heard the words, then let out a low roar. It seemed as if he had acquiesced to all of this. Then Zifang's sister hurriedly passed the milk to Su Bai's mouth. Be careful of choking, Zifeng admonished, while Su Bai's head was shaking like a rattle. The crowd was amused by Su Bai's cute appearance. At this time, Su Bai was staring at Yang Mi with a pitiful expression. The meaning was very obvious. It was almost as if he was saying, "It's not good. This little guy is quite spiritual." Yang Mi said with a smile, "That's right. Why do I feel that I can understand everything I say to it?" Pang Pang also chimed in immediately. "This little guy, it's really smart." Several other people were also sitting around the table, looking at the budding little guy in front of them, all of them tooting. "I also don't know if this little guy is a meat eater or a vegetarian," Pang Pang on the side couldn't help but say, and Su Bai's ears perked up. He vaguely caught the focus in Pang Pang's words, and eyed the slices of meat on the baking plate, looking at the mold. "It should be meat, right, mister?" He hesitated for a while, then said, and Huang Xiaochef flipped the meat on the grill with a clip, and after seeing Su Bai's eyes full of expectation, a smile burst out. "This cooking skill of mine, it's still man and beast." Put. Yang Mi, who was on the side, covered her mouth and snickered. "Look at it guys, it's all anxious," Teacher Huang said in a joking manner, and then he was handing the meat slices in his hand to Su Bai. On the other hand, Zifeng on the side picked up a slice of lettuce, seemingly wanting to test Su Bai's preferences. On the other side, Su Bai, seeing the raw meat that Mr. Huang chucked over, pondered for a while. A disinterested look filled his eyes. Yo, still a vegetarian. The pop-ups in the live broadcast room were scrolling rapidly, all teasing Su Bai, and on the side, Zifeng hurriedly handed over the lettuce, as if to say I knew it already. But on the contrary, Su Bai, at this time, already did not know what to do. This misunderstanding seems to be getting deeper and deeper. Su Bai hurriedly shook his head, while struggling his body towards the baking dish. However, because the body is too small, simply cannot reach, can only dry eyes looking at the meat in the baking dish. That appearance was really too much to be pitied. It was almost as if I felt sorry for him. This little guy is also too cute, but it seems like it has its eye on the roasted meat. The group of people once again flirted. Su Bai, on the other hand, was helpless to the extreme and couldn't wait to say a few words right away. But there was no way. The current him could only be at the mercy of others. It wasn't just Zifeng. Yang Mi and Teacher Huang were also looking at the little guy's pathetic appearance, and their hearts softened. In the end, Teacher Huang simply reached out and touched the scales on Su Bai's body. "It looks like it's really a vegetarian. I really didn't think that it would be so cute. I want one so badly. Let's just think about it. This little guy might still be some kind of rare species, but the program team should have already verified it, right?" The atmosphere was instantly lively as the various pop-up screens in the live broadcast room kept brushing the screen. Chapter 7, Crazy, right? This little guy will bake his own meat? And right at this moment, the tip of Su Bai's nose sniffed, seemingly sensing something. Ow! He suddenly raised his head, only to see his sister Zifeng smiling, and at some point, she had already walked beside it. There was also a piece of lettuce in her hand. "So it's a vegetarian animal, I told you." Saying that, it was already going to send the lettuce to the side of Su Bai's mouth, and the big honey on the side pacified Su Bai, but some heart anxiety. If this is vegetarian, when will the little one grow up? And just when the crowd thought that Su Bai would open its mouth obediently, who would have thought that it would be a violent twist of the head, avoiding that lettuce, and with a forceful arch, It bumped away from Zifeng's arm and jumped off Yang Mi's lap in a single leap. Splat! Subai landed on the ground, scattering and running down to the ground. Ouch! Little thing, don't run around. Zifeng's sister, on the other hand, hurriedly chased after him. Pang Pang on the side had just been glad that Subai was a vegetarian and that he was able to share more meat, but by the looks of it, this little guy should have other ideas. Only to see Subai holding the meat slices that teacher Huang had just clipped to him in his mouth. He ran directly to little Chef Huang's face. Little Chef Huang was first slightly stunned, and then he was smilingly stretching out his hand, ready to carry Subai into his arms. After all, a cute little guy like Subai was something he loved. It was thought that Subai wanted him to feed it. This little guy is still quite good at it. Let me feed it, Huang Xiaoche said with a smile on his face. Subai, on the other hand, squatted and sat down in front of Huang Xiaoche. That slice of meat was placed near its mouth, and Yellow Little Chef was still waiting to feed. It even cocked its head and surveyed Yellow Little Chef. Is this looking for a picture? And just when the crowd was a bit surprised, Subai suddenly opened his mouth. Click! Accompanied by a crisp slapping sound, the tender piece of meat fell onto the baking dish. Or more accurately, Subai placed it on the baking dish. For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Huang Xiaochef's hand was hanging in mid-air, neither to collect nor to take. This is fake, right? What did I just see? Is the little guy grilling meat? It must have been an accidental slip of the hand. Surely, I damn well believed you too. That slice of meat was clearly placed on the plate by Subai. For a while, the live broadcast room exploded, and the pop-up screen rolled crazily. Even the water friends who usually didn't pay much attention to Mushroom House looked dumbfounded. However, everyone was still more inclined to believe that Subai had merely dropped the meat slice accidentally when his mouth slipped. However, the next scene made them unable to accept it. Subai's 4 claws were used to leap up and go straight for the piece of meat. Surprisingly, with his clumsy claws, he began to flip the slice of meat within the baking dish over. And this action also completely startled the crowd. A child might not even be able to do it more standardly than Subai. Hiss! A rich fragrance filled the air. This meat, it was absolutely superb. Especially the spicy flavor was mouth-watering. And yet, all of this happened in a flash of lightning. The crowd only felt a flash of Subai. By the time they reacted, Subai had already started roasting the meat in style. What's going on here? I didn't see it wrong, right? Come on, someone explain this. I'm not blinking, am I? Why is this little guy so spiritual? It's just a roasted meat. I'm really confused. It's not a fake, is it? The pop-ups in the live broadcast room, one after another, were so dense that it was almost impossible to read the words on the screen. At this moment, however, Huang Xiaochef's eyes were rounded. He stared dead on at Subai, who was skillfully flipping the meat. Every trace of meat foam on top of that meat was perfectly blended together under Subai's maneuvering. This, Huang Xiaochef's tongue couldn't help but be a bit tongue-tied, and he lost his voice for a moment. This level of intelligence is really a bit high. On the side with Yang Mi also looked at Subai in surprise. Although they also knew that Subai was a smart little guy, they also didn't think that it would be as powerful as this. And just as Huang Xiaoche and the others were shocked, Teacher He hurriedly stepped forward to explain. This little guy should have just seen Mr. Huang's movements and followed suit, right? That's right, it looks like it, otherwise how could it be? Pang Pang also stepped forward to concur. However, his words had yet to fall, only to see Subai start a new action. It snapped off a bamboo stick with its teeth. Then, on the grill, it gnawed on the bamboo stick again. Definitely not. My baby is gifted and smart. When Yang Mi saw this, she gently caressed Subai's fur with a doting face. Then in that case, won't we know if we try it? Right at this moment, Pang Pang suddenly opened his mouth with a bad smile on his face and proposed. Let's take away its meat and see how it will react. At that moment, the crowd's eyes were drawn over. Pumba, that's not too good, is it? Sister Zifeng frowned. Pang Pang, on the other hand, continued to speak as if he had no qualms about it. This little guy is still too small, so let's see if it will take the roasted meat back and continue to roast it. On the one hand to confirm it, and on the other hand, this will also help to cultivate feelings. As he spoke, he prepared to do it. At this time, the viewers in the live broadcast room all started to brush the screen. This little cutie isn't human, but Pumba is a real dog. Ha 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 ha. Is it really good to bully a munchkin like this? I think Pumba is a witty boy. Little baby cheer, protect yourself. Do not be robbed of barbecue meat. However, right under the eyes of the crowd's expectations, Pumba took his chopsticks and approached towards Subai's side. Although he was a bit reluctant, but looking at the crowd's expectant eyes, Big Mimi couldn't say anything. His eyes were firmly fixed on Subai. Pumba's movements were very careful. He was afraid of hurting the little one. When he brought his chopsticks close to the sliced meat, it was just as Subai flipped and missed perfectly. At first the crowd thought it was a coincidence, but then Pang Pang tried a few more times, only to find that Subai always managed to dodge in time, not even glancing at Pang Pang with his afterglow. Pumba, it seems like it really understands human language. Yangmi smiled as she rubbed Subai's stomach, with a gentle look like a mother teasing her child. Crouching, oh my god, the little guy is actually a human spirit. This IQ, it's simply terrifying as hell. I'm not convinced. This level of IQ is not something that ordinary animals can have. This is a ING spirit, right? The first thing you need to do is to get your hands on a new one, and you'll be able to do it. For a moment, the crowd couldn't help but laugh out loud. Chapter 8, Pumba was directly teased, and that little Chef Huang also came back to his senses at this moment and hurriedly laughed. Pang Pang, is this some astigmatism on your part? Hearing this, Pumba immediately revealed a disappointed expression. Alas, he sighed grudgingly with a downcast look, but Subai was keenly capturing it, and after a few attempts, Pang Pang could only watch as the meat in the baking dish slowly shrunk, all on the verge of being baked, and Subai was still fine. Even his fingers didn't shake a bit. Wait, I'll directly snatch the roasted ones over. Pang Pang played a small calculation and secretly said in his mind. Already in his mind, he had planned out the scene of waiting for a moment to move in a line, pinning the roasted meat and then swallowing it in one bite. But obviously, the ideal was plump and the reality was bone dry. After the aroma of the roasted meat was baked out, Pang Pang was quick on his feet and directly struck out. However, he was stunned to realize that little guy's speed was actually far more than several times that of his, and in the blink of an eye, he took the entire piece of meat in his mouth and ate it into his stomach. Whoa! Pang Pang, on the other hand, fell short and accidentally touched the boiling hot baking dish, and wailed. That little guy, on the other hand, elegantly licked the crumbs of roasted meat remaining at the corner of his own mouth, a pair of turquoise blue eyes carrying a faint contempt. Put. When Yangmi saw this, she was ultimately unable to hold back her laughter and puffed. As for the others, they couldn't help but laugh at this moment. This bare child really lost face. Afterwards, they refocused their attention on Subai. So smart. Yangmi picked up Subai and said softly. Just now, she thought that Pang Pang was about to get his way, and was about to say a few words, but she didn't expect this little guy to be quick on his feet, and actually turned the tables on Pang Pang. Subai tilted his little head and answered obediently. The two cute little pointy ears looked extraordinarily likable, and right at this moment, Pang Pang had just slightly eased up, and all of a sudden, he bumped into Subai's gaze. It seemed to be saying, just with you, you still want to rob me? Dream on. Not only is this little guy smart in the head, even his movements are so flexible. Teacher, he lamented from the side. The others, on the other hand, nodded in agreement. This little guy's movements were indeed sensitive to the extreme. Not only was his speed strangely fast, but his movements were even more fluid, simply taking their breath away. Ha ha, eat a nose. Zifang's sister looked around and finally laughed at Pang Pang. This all happened so fast that Pang Pang hadn't even reacted until now. He stared blankly at Subai, his eyes rolling around for a long time, filled with frustration, and the pop-up screen in the live broadcast room was also filled with emotion. Ha 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 ha. Looking at Pang Pang's defeated face, it's simply too good to be true, worthy of being a munchkin. Just for the spirituality of this little guy, I've made up my mind. I'm going after Mushroom House. What do I see? What do I see? Oh, my god, what is that? And just as the fans in the live broadcast room were expressing their own opinions, they were hilarious. Suddenly, Subai felt a wave of warmth and his entire body was squeezed by something. Before she could react, she heard Sister Mimi's doting voice. My baby is fantastic. Come to mommy for a hug. She opened her arms and lifted Subai high above her head, spinning to catch her steadily. Then in full view of everyone, in front of everyone's shocked gazes, she squeezed Subai in her arms. At that instant, two soft masses came out from Sister Mimi's chest, causing Subai's little heart to thump wildly. This position was really too awkward. However, at this time, the audience in the live broadcast room all exploded. Oh, this little guy is too happy. I'm sour. Mimi-san is actually publicly hugging Subai like this. Simply don't be too happy. Envy and jealousy hate. Upstairs, you can pull it down. Upstairs, you can pull it down. Such a cute little guy who does not like For a moment, the pop-ups flew. At this moment, Sister Mimi was gently stroking Subai's little head with her index finger, her eyes full of doting. It's only been a day's work. You've learned so many things. As she spoke, the look on her face grew softer and softer. While watching the scene, Teacher Huan began to analyze it. Is there a possibility that it's all a coincidence? Yangmi was stunned at her words and couldn't help but ask, what do you mean? Teacher Huang explained, this child is still young after all, so maybe it's a coincidence. That's right, the little guy is only this big, so I guess he still can't remember anything, right? The others also agreed. Zifeng thought carefully and felt that Mr. Huang had a point. Maybe it was when Pang Pang was about to grab a piece of meat, and the little guy just happened to move it away. That's right. Everyone nodded in agreement. But Yang Mi was the only one who shook her head thoughtfully. I always feel that it's not like that. He definitely knew that Pumba wanted to steal the roasted meat, but he just let Pumba grab it and then remove the roasted meat. Pang Pang on the side hadn't said anything, and was a bit flustered after his hand was burned just now. But after hearing Mr. Huang's analysis, he hurriedly stepped forward and said, "It must be like this. How can this little guy be so humane?" The pop-ups in the live broadcast room also expressed their agreement with Teacher Huang's inference. This seems like it does make sense, but then again, it seems like there's something strange about it somewhere. Could it be because the little guy is more resourceful, and it happened so fast? I didn't even see it clearly. Why don't you wait for the replay? Why don't we play it back later? I think it's clear. The crowd argued for half a day, not knowing how to judge, but right at this moment, Yang Ni's eyes suddenly lit up. I get it. She clapped her hands and said. At that moment, the live broadcast room was quiet for a split second. Then everyone in the scene looked at Yang Mi in unison, expecting her to say something. This little guy might really be able to understand us, because just now when I hugged it, I vaguely felt that this little guy seemed to be nodding his head, she said excitedly, her tone trembling a bit, although she was just guessing, but this result was undoubtedly amazing. After all, in this world where technology was flourishing, unless one possessed some sort of special genetic hereditary ability, it was simply impossible to understand what could understand human conversation. At this time, the fans in the live broadcast room also sent out pop-ups. Crouching? It can't be. This can be done? This is too exaggerated. I believe you. How could this happen? I still believe in what Mr. Huang just said, although the little guy is cute, right? Chapter 9 Pumba, I just love to fight. Pumba was a bit disbelieving, thinking how could Subai understand someone else's speech? He was only a small animal that had just been born. Even if he was more agile, he would not be this smart. Only to see the little guy tilting his head, revealing a clueless expression, but Pang Pang walked forward with a bad smile on his face. The crowd was not sure what bad idea Pang Pang had at this time, and they all gazed over. And then, Pang Pang unexpectedly picked up another piece of meat and placed it in front of Subai. The meaning was already very obvious, wanting to see if Subai would repeat what he just did. This Pang Pang, still acting like a child. However, the next Subai even directly manipulated his claws again, placing the meat on the baking tray and flipping it in a decent manner. This scene also instantly made the crowd look dumbfounded. What's going on? Looking at the same movements as a human? No way. Crap. This little guy actually understands? Is this little guy a leprechaun? And this action is a bit too skillful, isn't it? Just by looking at it. Can you do this? The pop-up screen rolled madly, and the audience in the live broadcast room was astonished for a while. Pang Pang himself was staring wide-eyed, as if he had suffered a bolt from the blue, completely dumbfounded. Ah, it's really baked ah? I thought it was just a coincidence of luck. Teacher Huang was also somewhat beginning to doubt his explanation just now at this time. Seeing Subai's current movements, they were completely standard cooking movements. However, he still couldn't believe it, because it was just too exaggerated, right? In the gap of the crowd's shock, the slices of meat on the baking plate had already turned golden brown, emitting an aromatic and tantalizing flavor. Ha! Why does it look and feel a bit delicious? Pumba couldn't help but gulp. His cravings were immediately aroused, and he couldn't wait to extend his chopsticks, wanting to strike again. However, just at the moment he laid his hands on it, Subai directly stretched out his claws and intercepted the piece of meat. Afterward, it swallowed it in one bite and chewed it with relish, its mouth slightly open, revealing a satisfied expression. Seeing this image, Pang Pang froze. He couldn't help but blush a little and glanced at Subai. However, Subai completely treated it as if he didn't see it, and continued to eat there with great relish. Seeing this scene, the live broadcast room once again boiled over. Ha 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 ha, this little guy actually ate with Pang Pang. Oh my god, Pang Pang's speed can't even catch up with the little guy. Look at Pumba's defeat. It's hilarious. And look at the way the little thing is eating. It smells so good. This is fake, right? When Pang Pang saw this scene, he was stunned. I didn't expect Subai to be so smart. This little guy is also too smart. Zifeng's sister said from the side. She had just witnessed the scene with her own eyes. It's not right. There are definitely those places that aren't right. Pang Pang, however, muttered somewhat to himself. After that, he turned his gaze towards Mr. Huang, intending to seek help. After all, he really couldn't explain this scene just now. Teacher Huang, on the other hand, carefully scrutinized Subai's appearance. The more he looked, the tighter his brows wrinkled. Although this little guy was cute and looked quite witty, there seemed to be something wrong with this body shape and size. Moreover, what most concerned Mr. Huang was actually the little guy's teeth. Its teeth looked very sharp and pointed, but in the end, it was still unexpected, and even the knowledgeable teacher Huang was a bit confused. I think it. Just then, Mr. Huang spoke up. Animals are supposed to be imitative. The little guy probably just saw what I just did, so he studied a bit. Don't you guys think so? When the crowd heard this, they all came to a realization as well. Indeed, if this was the explanation, it was barely acceptable. Pang Pang, however, was a bit lost, originally thinking that he could test Subai, but he didn't expect to move a stone and crush his own foot instead. Subai, on the other hand, lazily leaned back and sat there, observing the surroundings. Just at this moment, Teacher Huang's figure suddenly appeared in its line of sight. In his hand, he was holding a lettuce sandwich with sliced meat. It looked like he wanted to test Subai in this way. Big Mimi looked at Subai and didn't say anything, but she still believed that her baby was just very smart. It wouldn't be just a coincidence like they said it was all just a coincidence. Under the gaze of the crowd, Teacher Huang slowly brought the lettuce with grilled meat to Subai's mouth. Since it's a non-vegetarian, it will definitely have an aversion to lettuce, in which case it will also miss the grilled meat inside. Teacher Huang explained. And if it ate the lettuce because of the flavor of the grilled meat, then that also proves that those actions it just took were nothing more than coincidence. The crowd came to a realization after hearing Teacher Huang's explanation. As expected of Mr. Huang, you're still thoughtful. That's right. In this way, the little guy is exposed, right? But it's so much fun to look at the little cutie's cute and adorable appearance. I hope Mr. Huang's hand is gentle, haha. On the other hand, Subai didn't pay any attention to Mr. Huang, still quietly waiting for the barbecue to descend. Teacher Huang, however, was a bit anxious at the moment. Could it be that his guess was wrong? Just as he was torn, the lettuce had already left his palm. Subai slowly opened his mouth and took the lettuce into his mouth. Quick look! The little guy directly stuffed the lettuce into his mouth. When Zifeng saw this, he said in a hurry. Teacher Huang's eyes lit up. Sure enough, Teacher Huang confirmed the suspicion in his heart that Subai had no way of distinguishing it at all. And everything just now was just it mimicking as an animal. The corner of Teacher Huang's mouth lifted into a smile. Since it was an animal, there was definitely a food chain. As long as one of them was grasped, one could understand it. Hey, this is going to work. A look of joy flashed through Mr. Huang's eyes. However, what he didn't realize was that this action of his was completely caught in Subai's eyes. Quickly look. What's happening? What's going on? Mom, yeah. You guys, look quickly. What does the little guy seem to be doing? What? Am I seeing this right? This is just too unbelievable, isn't it? Looking at the pop-up screen swipes in the live broadcast room, the crowd realized that Subai had actually used his mouth to directly pick out the slices of meat from the lettuce. See, it's actually, Mr. Huang's words were blocked to the right side, and before his words fell, Subai directly came to the grill plate again with the raw meat in his mouth. The action of turning the meat became more and more skillful. Seeing this scene, Pumba was completely confused. What the hell is this situation? Chapter 10, Laughing Doesn't Live. Huang Xiao Chef was teased badly by Subai. Crap, this works too? I feel like I'm already messed up. Mr. Huang, this little guy is also too smart, right? This skillful movement is really a bit unexpected. I'm a little skeptical that this is scripted, and the comments in the pop-up area also made Mr. Huang. There was a feeling of wanting to cry. The words had just stuck in his mouth, and seeing this scene in front of him, he was stunned. Big Mimi also snickered. I didn't think that little treasure would even make Teacher Huang suffer. It was really a rare sight. And at this time, Teacher Huang's little winning heart was also up. He decided to continue to test the waters. After all, he was heartily unconvinced that Subai would be that smart. It must be a coincidence. So, he picked up 2 more servings of lettuce and 2 raw meat slices. After Subai saw it, he licked his lips, showing a salivating look, but was slow to act. Seeing Subai's actions, Mr. Huang was even more confirmed. Then he played a trick and placed one of the portions in his mouth, but didn't actually eat it. The other portion, on the other hand, was directly handed over to Subai. Ha 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 ha, Mr. Huang is too bad. This is simply a contemporary Yang plot. I didn't expect it to be used on the little guy's body, ha. That is to say, how can the little one tell the difference now? Now it's going to be a disaster. Pumba couldn't help but cover his forehead as he watched Mr. Huang's showy appearance. He had already predicted what the next image would turn out to be. Come on, little guy, Teacher Huang said as he put on a very gentle look. The other side showed a chewing look, pretending to eat the slices of raw meat and lettuce he had just eaten. Worthy of being Mr. Huang. This performance, I give it full marks. What do you think upstairs? He's a teacher at the acting academy. There's still no doubt about his acting skills. It looks like the little guy is in trouble this time. If I hadn't seen the whole thing, I would have been fooled by Mr. Huang. this little guy is also very powerful, but he's still lost after all. The comments in the pop-up area rang out in droves. However, the next second, Subai violently opened his eyes, then raised his head and stared at Teacher Huang, even though the lettuce sandwich meat slices were already on the edge of his mouth. And even though Teacher Huang had already shown a delicious appearance, but Subai just didn't open his mouth. This Teacher Huang really treats me as an idiot. Subai looked at Teacher Huang's selling performance and inwardly laughed coldly. It turns out that his own previous teasing of his pet was this look. It is really a bit stupid. Little fellow, why are you looking at me like this? Teacher Huang was a bit surprised. According to reason, he should have already gained an advantage. But why did Subai's eyes carry a strong disdain? Slightly. Right at this moment, Subai spat out his tongue and made a face towards Teacher Huang. Immediately after that, he lowered his head. Looking at the scene in front of him, Teacher Huang froze, his entire body falling into a state of stagnation. The viewers in the pop-up area were also silent for a while, before exploding. What's going on? What the hell happened? Did I see it right? Did the little guy make a face just now? Bull asterisk 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 asterisk. Is this a trick on Mr. Huang? I'm convinced Mr. Huang was tricked by an animal. I want to know what Mr. Huang's face looks like now. In the live broadcast room, all kinds of pop-ups were scrolling rapidly, filling every corner of the live broadcast room, simply like an ocean. Teacher Huang's expression was also a bit stiff at this time. This time, the live broadcast effect was directly pulled full. Only Teacher Huang still couldn't figure it out. His performance was simply seamless, but still, he was set up by this little guy. Teacher I didn't see it wrong just now, did I? Zifeng's younger sister spoke from the side, obviously a little surprised. After all, this was the first time she had seen something like this. But Teacher wasn't much better. This guy is really smart. Teacher muttered. This is impossible. However, Teacher Huang still had some difficulty accepting it. But at this time, the program group couldn't care less. After these few hits just now, the live broadcast effect was directly pulled full. The number of viewers skyrocketed. And at this time, Subai, who had eaten and drank enough, stretched out a lazy waist and placed the slices of meat that had just been roasted on the plate in front of him. This gesture was as if he had left Teacher Huang's provocation behind and didn't care. Mr. Huang's face was cloudy. In the end, he sighed, slowly easing down from his shock. Looking at Subai, he wondered what it was going to do again. What is the little guy preparing to do? Haven't you had enough to eat yet? I didn't realize that this little one has a good appetite. Ha 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 ha. Maybe it's because it's just consumed too much. That is to say, even the known as the old fox Mr. Huang was fooled by this little guy. Ha 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 ha. The viewers in the live broadcast room saw Subai placing the roasted slices of meat on his plate and hurriedly guessed. However, right at this moment, Subai unexpectedly picked up the plate directly with his mouth, not knowing where he was going. Little fellow, this is wanting to leave some food behind? Speaking of which, this was also an animal's habit. However, Big Mimi was a little surprised to see Subai slowly walking towards him. Subai then paced like this and walked in front of young Mimi, and without waiting for the crowd to speculate, he directly placed the plate he was holding in his mouth gently in young Mimi's hand. This set of actions down, line of clouds and water, completely cannot see any rusty. On the contrary, it was as if it had been repeated a million times. Yang Mi was also a little stunned at first, not knowing what it meant, but looking at Subai's eyes had lifted, as if she somewhat understood. Little baby, do you mean you want to give it to me to eat? Thank you. Yang Mi showed her teeth and smiled, playfully blinking her eyes. Subai lay on his back on the floor and nodded, letting out a soothing purr as his tail stood up high, looking extremely enjoyable. The viewers in the live broadcast room were also confused. What's the situation? This little guy is really that spiritual? I still can't believe it. Ooh, I want one. I feel like this little guy is even more adorable than those cats in my house. In the live broadcast room, countless pop-ups instantly brushed the screen. Subai, on the other hand, was still lying there lazily. It seemed like none of this had anything to do with it. But the eyes of the viewers in the live broadcast room looked at Subai with more and more favor. It's also too good. Sister Zifeng really couldn't help herself and came directly in front of Subai and gently pinched it. Chapter 11, the little guy can bake? No way. Absolutely no way. Subai tilted her head as if inquiring what she was up to. Little guy, this is too cute, Sister Zifeng said with a smile, and Yangmi also couldn't help but stroke Subai's head with a very joyful expression on her face. Who would hate such a cute little guy? Really didn't hurt you for nothing, a little baby, she said intimately. Wow, I want to take it back and raise it for a while. OMG, I feel like I'm already bent. This little thing is so cute, I've decided to powder it. In comparison, I still prefer to have Mimi-san hug me like this as well. Subai, on the other hand, was still lying on the floor, looking at young Mimi in front of him, licking his paw with a cozy face. On the other hand, Pang Pang on the side was a bit sad at this time. Oh, after messing around for so half a day, I didn't even get a bite of roasted meat, Pumba muttered. On the other hand, seeing that Teacher Huang was still in the midst of self-doubt, Teacher He hurriedly stepped forward to round up the situation and said, "The little guy's luck is really good. Surprisingly, it can surprise us every time. It will definitely bring good luck to our mushroom house." It had to be said that Mr. He's rounding up was really highly emotional, worthy of being a teacher who had been teaching for more than 20 years. He spoke and acted without a drop of water, and couldn't catch any handles at all. Hearing Mr. He's explanation, Mr. Huang was slightly relieved, plus other guests have spoken out to help. Mr. Huang is also no longer entangled. That's right, and looking at the little guy's cravings, Mr. Huang's barbecue must be too delicious. Teacher Huang heard the guests say one thing and another. Of course he understood that this was giving a step down, and naturally took it. After all, it was still in the middle of a live broadcast, so they couldn't let their own astonishment affect the program. But what they didn't expect was that at the same time, the recorded screens of the live broadcast had all been intercepted and posted online. In this internet era, even though there was no TV broadcast, there were still quite a few fans present on forums and microblogs. Most of them were clips of Pumba and Mr. Huang being teased by the little guy. Ha 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 ha. I didn't think that the old fox of chicken stripes would also have a day of being teased. This is probably the biggest melon of the day. Crap, this little thing is also too shrewd. Right, this can be? Upstairs, don't tease. I feel like Mr. Huang is deliberately letting it play. That's absolutely impossible. I don't think so. The comments section on the recorded video clip was on fire, even overshadowing the live broadcast. And within the live broadcast, Zifeng carefully noticed that Sister Mimi had just eaten just a token amount during the main meal. She also knew that Sister Mimi was also recently in the process of controlling her weight for the new drama and couldn't eat too much, so didn't persuade anything. But seeing Pang Pang on the side, she hurriedly and delicately said, "Sister Mimi, you definitely can't eat so much. Give some to Pang Pang. Look at his gluttonous look." Zifeng even covered his mouth with his hand and snickered after he finished speaking. "Okay." Yang Mi agreed very painfully, and then she cut off a small piece of the roasted meat and kept it, pushing the rest to Pang Pang. This action made Pang Pang freeze for a moment. "Here, have a taste." Only then did Pang Pang reflect on this and hurriedly caught it. But looking at the roasted meat on the plate, his expression looked a little unnatural. After all, it was roasted by an animal, so it was inevitable that there was some hint of dislike. At the same time, he slowly placed his own gaze on Teacher Huang's body. He had also tasted the roasted meat made by Teacher Huang before. Whether it was the dipping sauce or the texture was wonderful. It was a masterpiece. But now, looking at the roasted meat that Sister Mimi had cut off, he was somewhat at a loss for words. "Thank you, Sister Honey." After receiving the roasted meat, Pang Pang hurriedly said, even if it was no longer hard to eat, after all, it was given by Sister Mimi herself, so naturally he couldn't show it. On the other hand, Sister Mimi, because it was baked by the little guy, looked at the roasted meat on the plate and didn't dislike it in the slightest. On the contrary, there was also a great deal of anticipation. The meat roasted by this little thing, just how would the flavor be? Yang Mi slowly pinched the roasted meat up. There was still some heat left, emitting a tantalizing aroma. Ka-chow dash. Yang Mi took a bite. An indescribable feeling spread to all the limbs. Wow, so fragrant. What a happy feeling. On the other hand, Pang Pang on the side was looking a bit mesmerized, only to see Sister Mimi's entire expression froze after she took a bite. But when the words came out of his mouth and he saw Sister Mimi's still frozen expression, Pang Pang was a bit startled. "Sister Mimi, don't scare me. I'm a little afraid to eat it." Seeing this reaction from Sister Honey, Pang Pang began to look at the roasted meat on the plate in some panic. And at this moment, the viewers in the live broadcast room were all laughing at this scene, especially after seeing Pumba's panicked appearance. "Ha ha 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 ha, how can this be delicious?" Looking at this expression on Mimi-san's face, I can tell that it must be a bit hard to swallow. Yeah, I feel the same way. After all, it's a small pet's barbecue, so it's good enough to eat. That's right, but looking at Mimi-san's expression, it seems like it's not certain if you can eat it or not. And Pang Pang also noticed the pop-ups, and after seeing that there were still large chunks of roasted meat on the plate, his heart was bitter. Regardless of the outcome, what Sister Honey had given, she definitely had to eat it. What is Pumba still waiting for? Don't rush to destroy the deliciousness on the plate. Ha 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 ha. That is to say, haven't you been looking forward to it for a long time? Just now, he was still grabbing with the little one on the grill plate. Why don't you say anything now? Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing my ass off. Now Pumba is riding the tiger. Watching the pop-ups float by on the live broadcast, the guests on the scene were also bloating. But in comparison, They were still more concerned about Yang Mi's condition. Sister Mimi, are you alright? Zifeng asked as he walked to Yang Mi's side with concern. The expression on Yang Mi's face was somewhat intriguing from the moment after she ate the roasted meat. The roasted meat just now was really unforgettable to her. In the next moment, Yang Mi's eyes suddenly glowed as she excitedly swallowed the roasted meat in her mouth. For a moment, Yang Mi's face was filled with intoxication, as if she had eaten the most delicious food in the world. An aroma flowed down her throat and into her stomach, rising up in her abdomen as the food turned into heat. Wahoo! With a long, soothing cry, Yang Mi instantly broke the original silence. Yummy! Yang Mi had a satisfied look on her face, as if the enjoyment she had just experienced was still stuck in her memory. Yang Mi looked to the little one on the side and said happily, Chapter 12 This little guy can grill. I'll eat the grill on the spot. Subai wagged his tail, thinking, that must be delicious. In his previous life, he had a big gold chain and a small watch, and he had a small barbecue 3 times a day, so his barbecue skills were naturally first class. Although it is said that Huangshao chef cooking skills are considered good, but in the field of barbecue, touch me Subai, or have to go to the side a little. Not only Yang Mi, the other people on the side were also attracted to it, especially Pang Pang, who still couldn't believe it when he saw Yang Mi's satisfied expression. This was something made by a pet. Being able to swallow it was already good enough. Even if it was delicious, what could it taste like? Did Mimi-san say that on purpose? For the little one to see. I guess she didn't want to upset the little one, she said. After all, the little one even sent the roast meat here on purpose. I think that's the way it should be. This little guy knows his stuff. Mimi-san is just too kind, isn't she? It's like she wants a hug. Roasted meat said to be swallowed, just to not let the little guy feel bad. Simply too thoughtful. The pop-ups in the live broadcast room were more than a flurry, but when they heard Yang Mi praising the little guy, they all exploded, thinking to themselves that Sister Mimi was simply too kind. The roasted meat made by this little guy must be hard to swallow. Pang Pang directly froze in place after seeing the scene in front of him. What's going on here? Why would Sister Mimi say the words delicious? Could it be that he had guessed wrong? Seeing that everyone had a skeptical attitude, Yang Mi was still a little unsure. Why were they all looking at her with this look? It was originally very tasty. And just now that kind of feeling is really super great. Even the soul followed the trembling, so she explained to the crowd, don't believe me, it's really delicious. After saying that, Yang Mi picked up a piece of roasted meat on the table, opened her mouth and took a bite. Crisp and crunchy, the gravy splattered everywhere, the rich and tender flavor exploded in her mouth. Yang Mi couldn't help but reveal a happy smile. Wow! Yang Mi marveled once again. The taste was more delicious than any food she had ever eaten. It's really delicious. Yang Mi couldn't help but continue nibbling on it while emphasizing it once more to the audience in the live broadcast room. You guys mustn't look down on the little guy. It's so smart. Pumba, if you don't eat it, give it all to me. After hearing Sister Mimi's words, Pumba's entire body froze. Didn't Sister Mimi want to control her weight in her new drama? What is she doing now? Eating so much? Teacher Huang was also stunned. Even during the main meal just now, the so delicious chicken stew with mushrooms, Yang Mi just drank a little soup and a few mushrooms. The meat was not even dipped a bit. How is this now eating so fiercely again? Not only Yang Mi and her party, the other guests and staff were all staring at this scene with wide eyes. The barbecue made by this little guy actually has such a charm that it can make Yang Mi, who seldom eats greasy food on weekdays, to be mesmerized by it and eat it without any regard for its image. Teacher, he had already begun to falter at this point. Looking at Yang Mi's expression didn't look like she was faking it. It couldn't really be that delicious, could it? This reaction immediately caused the surrounding staff to look bewildered. Why do all of you have a skeptical expression? I did not lie to you. Really delicious. Yang Mi said with an aggrieved face, looking at Teacher Huang and Subai beside her and asking, how can it be? Pang Pang heard this and responded in a hurry. He couldn't believe that Subai's barbecue meat could be more delicious than Teacher Huang's. How could this be possible? If this little guy can even grill meat, then I will eat this grill on the spot. But Mimi's sister personally clip over. If not to give face words is really some not too appropriate. Forget it, I'll put up a fight, Pumba muttered, picking up a piece of barbecue meat and stuffing it into his mouth. This time he ate it. Pang Pang's face turned incredibly red. An indescribable taste spread in his mouth. Immediately afterward, he then chewed with a large mouthful without hesitation, completely wiping out the roasted meat in his mouth. Holy, Pumba's eyes widened, his face full of surprise and shock, because this flavor was actually so delicious. Not only Pang Pang, even Teacher Huang had a look of disbelief. Was this roasted meat really that delicious? It was so awesome that it made Pang Pang explode. Pang Pang wolfed it down while looking at Subai with a look of adoration in his gaze. It was true that he had misunderstood him. This is not a pet. It's clearly a deep hide. When Zifeng's sister heard this, She hurriedly sidled over to ask Pang Pang. Really? Pang Pang nodded her head repeatedly. Pumba said with a serious face, clearly praising this roast. Seeing as you're talking so exaggeratedly, is it hard to believe that it's even better than Mr. Huang's cooking? Zifeng then asked, and Pang Pang still answered in the same way. Aang, then I'll try it too. Seeing Pang Pang in this state, Teacher He also came to join in the fun and took the remaining half of the roasted meat on the plate. Pumba was just starting to think about stuffing all the remaining roast into his mouth, but it was Teacher He who was better. But Mr. Huang was all disbelief. How could his own name of Huang Xiao Chef not be able to compete with this little creature in terms of cooking skills? But he couldn't show too much excitement under the camera, and instead, he landed his gaze on Mr. He's body. The next second, Mr. He was stunned by the scene in front of him. The aroma of this roasted meat is too tantalizing. It really smells so good, and it's also good for the mouth. Teacher He couldn't help but exclaim out in shock, and Pang Pang on the side couldn't help but nod his head in agreement. The aroma of this meat was indeed tantalizing. Moreover, this meat tasted soft and melted in the mouth, and in an instant, it was as if the entire mouth was filled with thick collagen, making people unable to resist wanting to take another bite. This is really too delicious. Teacher He praised heartily, his eyes shining brightly as he stared at Subai. What's going on? Even Teacher He is saying this. You're kidding. How can a small animal be better than Teacher Huang's cooking skills? Although I kinda want to admit it too. It can't be a program effect. I'm a bit skeptical about the authenticity of this program now, but this live broadcast shouldn't be faked, and even Mr. He said so. If it is only Pang Pang's words are okay, the audience in the live broadcast room to see Mr. He said so. It is hard to not believe cannot help but begin to question. After all, Mr. Huang's cooking skills are considered one of the best in the circle, and since he said so, it means that this roast is really delicious. But the audience in the live broadcast room questioned the questioning, or couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Chapter 13, Exquisite Roasted Meat shocked the crowd, shaking off little Chef Huang by a few streets. Mr. Huang couldn't help but lose some face when he saw the frantic swiping of the pop-up screen as well as the descriptions of both Mr. He and Pang Pang. But again, he couldn't say it outright. At the critical moment, it was Teacher He who was quick to see Teacher Huang's awkward situation, but being able to taste it, this sliced raw meat marinated has already been flavored, so even how it's baked the taste won't be too bad. Teacher He had given enough steps to Chef Huang, but anyone with a clear eye could see it. Teacher He was afraid that Teacher Huang's face would be too embarrassed, so he helped him explain. Ha 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 ha, this explanation from Mr. Huang is just perfect. We understand, but the little guy is really out of our league. I'm still a little upset. The viewers in the live broadcast room all chimed in. They didn't notice that Pang Pang had already walked to Subai's side at this time. Looking at Subai, he couldn't wait to drool. Little cutie, can you help me bake another one? Pang Pang looked at Subai with an expectant face. Although Pang Pang also liked eating the roasted meat made by Teacher Huang, the flavor of the roasted meat that Subai roasted this time was fantastic. The difference was just too great. Subai raised his eyes and glanced at Pang Pang, slightly skimming his lips and ignoring Pang Pang. He thought to himself, you're not an old man. You still want me to roast meat for you. What are you thinking? Dream on you. Pang Pang saw Subai ignoring him, and immediately felt a little depressed. Sweetie, let's discuss something, okay? With a pleasing expression, Pang Pang reached out to touch Subai's head, only to be evaded by Subai and rolled his eyes. Then it directly rolled over and laid down in front of Sister Mimi, who saw this and hurriedly wrapped it in her arms. So cute, it can still roll its eyes. Sister Zifeng, who was on the side, was instantly happy when she saw this scene, and as Sister Mimi cradled Subai in her arms, she looked over to see that its eyes were already a bit hazy. Is the little fellow sleepy? Sister Mimi gently stroked Subai's back fur and softly asked. Subai lazily closed its eyes and did not speak. In fact, this was Sister Honey's illusion. Subai was just squinting comfortably by Sister Honey's warm embrace. Alas, this child is really well behaved. Sister Mimi then stood up with Subai in her arms, preparing to go back to her room to rest. Mimi-san, bring me along. There's still me. I never thought that one day I would be jealous of a small pet. I'm really envious. I also want to sleep with Mimi-san. Upstairs you guys are simply not too outrageous. Subai, this little guy is simply envious of these viewers in the live broadcast room. Alright, that's all for today. Everyone has worked hard. Teacher He placed all the remaining roasted meat on the table, then stood up and said to the audience in the live broadcast room. After the live broadcast closed, Director Wang was very satisfied with today's live broadcast. Today's program recording has ended successfully. Director Wang clapped his hands and said. Upon hearing this, Teacher He and Teacher Huang revealed a look of relief. Today, the viewing popularity of our live broadcast was surprisingly 500. 000 people higher than the premiere. And the comments section of the live broadcast platform actually reached 2.4W entries, which is the first time it has ever been reached. Mr. he said with some emotion. All of them had an excited look on their faces, as this live broadcast had reaped huge rewards. The source of these popularity was partly because of Yangmi, but the greatest heat was still about the little guy Subai. This uninvited guest from the mushroom house had brought them a very large amount of traffic, especially in today's barbecue session. The little guy's performance and the effect of the live broadcasting room even went straight to the microblogging small hot search. These fans were all rushing towards this matter. After all, the current live broadcast platform still had restrictions. Unlike before, no matter how many people entered, they were able to be immediately retweeted. So it was only possible to increase exposure through content. And this time the little guy had undoubtedly become a blessing for their mushroom house, which had never been the case before. This also caused director Wang to be a bit surprised. It seemed to be a bit beyond expectations. This feeling was so marvelous that director Wang couldn't find the words to describe it for a while. Early the next morning, the sky had just dawned, and the birds in the treetops were chirping. Subai leisurely sat on a chair, his legs swaying, enjoying the sunshine. Today's task in the mushroom house was for everyone to go to the woods to transplant saplings and bring them to the designated area for cultivation, which was something new for everyone. However, only by completing the task could the ingredients be exchanged. So naturally everyone didn't dare to slack off. When everyone got up one after another and washed up, they all hurriedly rushed to the woods with the intention of transplanting the saplings. Only when everyone arrived at their destination, they were shocked to find that there were no saplings they needed to transplant at all. All of this development didn't fit with last night's plan. If they couldn't complete the mission to exchange for food, there would be no way to entertain today's guests. Instead, Mr. Huang stayed at the mushroom house today and did the preparations. On the other hand, Pumba, Teacher He, Sister Mimi and Sister Zifeng were together, with the addition of a little one. At this moment, Subai was lying obediently in Yang Mi's embrace, purring and sleeping soundly. I say, little guy, this is a little too heartless of you, isn't it? Pang Pang poked Subai and said with a deliberately stern face. Subai lazily opened his eyes and pushed Pang Pang away with his paw, clearly not intending to ignore Pang Pang. But looking at the little guy, it seems like he's going to grow up a bit more than yesterday. Zifeng noticed carefully. Subai was originally the size of a baby cat, and now it did look like it had grown a bit. So fast? Teacher He was surprised to hear that. It should be because of the food, Pang Pang guessed. After the crowd looked closely, they realized that this was indeed the case. Let's fatten it up a bit then. It looks quite adorable, Zifeng proposed. Subai, I refused. It then proceeded to burrow into Sister Mimi's arms. Hey, the little guy is still shy? Pumba teased Subai for a few moments, but nay. The little guy simply ignored him and instead nestled more and more peacefully in Sister Mimi's arms. The group of people were searching for saplings in the woods. Suddenly, Sister Zifeng pointed to the distance and shouted, it seems like it's right in front, eh? There are saplings there. Upon hearing this, the group looked over in unison, only to see that the bushes in that area were growing extraordinarily vigorously, and the dense branches of the trees obscured the view. The bushes over there are a bit thick. Let's take a detour and go over to take a look, Teacher Huang suggested. Everyone nodded in agreement. So the crowd spent another 10 minutes of effort and finally went around. When the crowd took a clear look at the scene in front of them, they instantly froze. This is too much. Pumba couldn't help but burst out. Chapter 14, Little Bee's hand holds the pinch. Master Subai's first appearance of might. Hundreds of saplings were piled up all around the bush. But let's hurry up and divide the work. It'll be faster that way. Mister, he said after a moment of contemplation. The crowd nodded and then distributed the work. Pang Pang and Teacher He were in charge of picking the saplings, while Sister Mimi and Zifeng were in charge of fixing the seedlings. The four of them divided up the work clearly, and each of them did their own job. But it was also quick. Subai, on the other hand, was put aside and left to play on his own. Time passed slowly, and the crowd spent the morning in busyness. The sun was warm, while Subai rolled over his belly and lay on the tree branch, lazily basking in the sun, feeling very comfortable. Ha ha, Mimi-san, look at the little guy. Zifeng was busy and suddenly saw Subai's soft and cute appearance as he turned his belly over to bask in the sun. Everyone turned their heads to look at Subai. At this moment, under the sunlight, Subai's white jade-like skin was glowing with a faintly glistening aura, as if it was as translucent and flawless as a baby, which made people's hearts love it. So good. Sister Mimi walked over and touched Subai's cheek, a gentle smile appearing at the corner of her mouth. She was extraordinarily close to Subai. Subai exuded a special aura that gave her an inexplicable sense of security. This caused Sister Mimi to be extraordinarily fond of him, and for some reason, Sister Mimi always felt that this child in front of her was different, but she couldn't tell exactly where it was different. Soon, Yang Mi and Zifeng's work was nearing its end, and there were only the last few saplings left. As long as they fixed them, they counted their task as complete and could return to the mushroom house to rest. Ah! Suddenly, Zifeng exclaimed. The crowd followed their gazes, only to see that a small beehive had fallen from the sky at a location just above their heads. Just now, Yang Mi and Zifeng's minds were on the sapling, and they didn't even notice the threat above their heads. As the honeycomb fell to the ground, it instantly caused a buzz. It caused Zifeng's sister to immediately lose her color and scream loudly. Although it was only the size of a palm, the number of bees inside was too high, and if she wasn't careful, she would be stung. Quickly dodge! Yang Mi eagerly shouted, pulling Zifeng backward. Sting, sting, sting! Dense little red dots fell from the hive. Yang Mi was terrified and hurriedly held her breath to avoid attracting the terrifying little guys. Sister Mimi! Zifeng shouted in panic. Don't worry, Yang Mi said through clenched teeth. Although she was scared herself, she still protected Zifeng behind her, because this was what a sister should do. Ding! Ding! Sting! Yang Mi slapped the honeycomb with her gloves while trying her best to dodge and find a chance to back away. Teacher He! Pang Pang! Soon, Teacher He and Pang Pang discovered the situation over here. The thick swarm of bees had already surrounded the duo by now, and the staff did not expect the situation to occur, and did not know what to do for a while. The live broadcast room even exploded. It's bees! Sister Mimi and Sister Zifeng, be careful. If I'm not mistaken, this kind of bee is very toxic. If you get stung, the consequences will be unimaginable. The program staff is too careless. What if someone gets killed? Go away! Go away! Zifeng's younger sister's tearful eyes glistened as she trembled. Obviously terrified of this kind of flying insect, she was already overwhelmed with fear. Don't be afraid, Yang Mi comforted while hastily tugging Zifeng to the side to escape. But the swarm of bees had already closed in. Yang Mi once again held her breath and tried to move towards the front. But soon, she realized that this wouldn't work at all. The swarm of bees seemed to have recognized her, and were frantically pouncing towards them. In the nick of time, a slight sound of breaking wind reached her ears, as if something had cut through the air. Sting! Ding! Ding! Accompanied by the sound of dense collisions, the swarm of bees were actually all knocked away. Yang Mi opened her eyes and was shocked to find that the bees that originally surrounded them were actually all knocked away, and the little guy, who appeared at an unknown time, and with a leisurely posture, flung a line of bees onto the tree trunk with a tail. Little baby! Yang Mi saw the little guy in front of her and was so excited that she was about to be unable to speak. Unexpectedly at the critical moment, it was this little guy who helped her. Woohoo! Little guy, run! Zifeng also discovered Subai, scared out of her wits, and hurriedly urged. Subai shook his head, then stretched out his claws and looked at the swarm of bees, filled with disdain. This group of little shrimps, old me woke me up even when I was sleeping back to sleep, really living impatiently. The crowd all stared with wide eyes, because in their perspective, the little guy let out a low roar, seemingly provoking the swarm. Little baby, Yang Mi was filled with gratitude when she saw that the little guy was still standing in front of them. At this moment, the little guy was like a guardian god, giving her a sense of security. The little guy is also too reliable. What just happened? It was really too fast. I didn't even see it clearly. Did the little guy save Mimi-chan and the others? I didn't see it wrong, did I? I thought I heard the little guy whispering. I think I just heard the little guy roar. This is too loyal, isn't it? On the pop-up screen, everyone was shocked, not expecting this cute little guy to be so powerful, especially the female fans. Seeing the little guy's performance, they were simply adorable. On the other hand, the bees seemed to be completely enraged by Subai's provocation, and rushed towards it in an overwhelming manner. The number of bees didn't decrease much and remained threatening. However, at this time, the staff of the program had already prepared the insecticide and immediately sprayed it out. Poof! Plop! The insecticide landed in the swarm of bees and a large mist emerged. Although these bees were ferocious, they were also afraid of the insecticide, and became confused for a while, fleeing one after another. And Yang Mi took the opportunity to hug Subai and run away with Zifeng. So close. Looking at the exterminated swarm of bees behind her, Yang Mi let out a long breath. It was the first time she had encountered such a terrifying swarm of bees. Luckily, the little guy had made a timely move. Otherwise, it would definitely be dangerous to the extreme. However, she didn't notice that there were still some leaky bees right behind her, waiting for an opportunity. When Yang Mi fled with Zifeng, these swarms of bees finally couldn't hold back and came towards chasing after them. A strong buzzing sound was emitted, which was creepy. Not good. Yang Mi, who was running, stalled in her steps and turned her head to spot the scattered bees. Sister Zifeng shivered in fear as she looked at the bees that were close behind her. She never thought she would encounter such a thing. Yang Mi ran away at a pearly pace, hoping to disperse the swarm of bees behind her. Chapter 15, Scared Mr. Huang. This is a broadcasting accident. However, the more she struggled, the angrier the swarm of bees became, and the more aggressive their attack became. This swarm of guys, they were simply a ghost. Seeing this, Subai directly broke out of Sister Mimi's embrace and leapt up, but when he exerted his strength, he only felt that he stepped on two soft masses, and almost couldn't hold on. What are you doing? Seeing Subai jumping out again, Yang Ni was immediately scared. Fearing that Subai would fall down or be stung by the swarm of bees, Subai ignored it. Little master, I still don't believe that I can't clean up this swarm today. Swoosh swoosh, only to see the little guy vibrate and instantly rise up in the air. Immediately after, it plopped down on top of Yang Ni's head. Looking at the oncoming swarm of bees, Subai quickly swung his body and slashed with a claw. The strong and powerful wind blew, causing the swarm of bees to be in a state of confusion. Snap! Only a crisp popping sound could be heard, and the swarm of bees drifted down in front of Yang Ni's eyes like falling rain, and as if those remaining swarms of bees were stung, they instantly increased their speed and flew towards Subai. Subai frowned. It's really endless. There's only one thing that will happen if you disturb this great master's sleep. Swish! Subai even waved his front claws, quickly drew an arcing trajectory in the air. Splat! Splat! Snap! In the blink of an eye, a full 7 or 8 bees fell to the ground and instantly died violently. Subai's action, however, attracted more bees. Subai, on the other hand, with the help of his body dexterity, there were constantly bees falling to the ground. The whole thing was a blur. It was only at this time that Subai realized that his eyesight and movements were so agile. This was completely beyond the realm of ordinary people. Subai was shocked. Could this be the change after becoming an animal? But what to say is not to say. Although certain aspects are a little less convenient, but this feeling is still quite cool now. While Yang Ni and Zifeng were looking dumbfounded, they didn't expect this cute little guy to be so powerful. Simply handsome. The precise attack caused the swarm of bees to be confused, and Subai seized this perfect opportunity. He took an arrow step and his figure steeply accelerated, leaping up and steadily launching his attack. This scene watched Yang Mi and the others' jaws drop. The little guy's speed was actually so fast, completely beyond her knowledge. Roar! Not long after, the surrounding swarm of bees gradually dissipated, while the pop-up screen in the live broadcast room had already exploded. Bullish! What kind of pet is this? It's clearly a prehistoric beast. The little guy is also too handsome. Right, this wave of operation is simply show over the sky, right? What kind of species is this? I'd love to have a little guy like this. Usually to that a lying is a cute pet one. The critical moment can also help to save lives. Who do not want Do you have a little yellow car? The first thing you need to do is to get your hands on a link to the car, and you'll be able to see it. Subai solved all the bees, also lazy to take care of these melon audience, but once again pounced into the arms of Yang Mi, seeking warmth. Looking at Subai in this state, Yang Mi's mouth curled slightly, revealing a sweet smile. She gently stroked Subai's fur with a tender face. At this time, the staff of the program also hurriedly walked over and asked Yang Mi if she needed help. They were also impressed by Subai's flirty maneuver just now. It's fine, it's all been resolved. After then calming down Zifeng's sister, the few people returned to the mushroom house. Just as they reached the door, Teacher Huang hurriedly greeted them. He had also heard about the situation in the woods from Director Wang and rushed over. Mimi, Zifeng, are you guys alright? Yang Mi immediately greeted Teacher Huang when she saw him, a look of delight on her face. Teacher Huang, don't worry, it's nothing serious. What exactly happened just now? I heard Zhang Yu say. Teacher Huang opened the door and asked. It's fine, Teacher Huang, just accidentally stabbed a bee's nest, but thanks to the little guy, otherwise we would probably have been stung miserably. It's just that Zifeng was a bit stunned. Yang Ni explained, saying that she touched Zifeng's head. Only after hearing this did Teacher Huang breathe a sigh of relief. After all, this matter was not a small matter. The slightest slip-up would result in an accident. Zifeng, how is it? Is everything alright? Thank you, Teacher Huang, for your concern. I'm fine. Zifeng shook his head obediently. And right at this moment, Pang Pang, who had been ignored, spoke up. The little guy just protected the two of you. I was all stung for a bit. It hurts. Only to see Pang Pang covering his arm with an aggrieved face. There was a red mark on his arm. When Subai heard it, he just blankly glanced at it, and then he twisted his head and leaned against the two soft masses of Mimi's sister pleasantly. A big man crying and whining. Don't know that men should be self-reliant but also want me to save. Pumba, come over here. Let me rub the ointment on you. Teacher, he looked at Pang Pang and said heartily. He then hurriedly took out the medicine box and carefully applied the wound to Pang Pang. Looking at the shocking red marks on Pang Pang's arm, the program staff felt guilty in their hearts. If it wasn't for Subai, the consequences were simply unimaginable. And Mr. Huang's face was even more not so good. After a while, to pacify the crowd, Mr. Huang found Director Wang Zhengyu. Seeing Teacher Huang push the door and walk in, Director Wang naturally nodded. Teacher Huang, I know what you want to say. This broadcast accident today is really. Teacher Huang shook his head. This matter can't be blamed on you. After all, this is just an entertainment variety show, and it was a temporary idea. It didn't even take this into consideration. Alas, it's not these things I'm worried about. Teacher Huang looked serious. Although it was said that this kind of thing was something that no one would want to happen, but since it had already happened, there was no way to change the ending. It was all because of the lack of perfect preparation. Although it was in order to ensure the effect of the live broadcast that there was such uncertainty, but it also led to Pang Pang's injury, making him blame himself a bit. Mr. Huang, are you worried about the network public opinion aspect? Director Wang had obviously thought of this as well, and this matter would naturally bring negative effects to Mushroom House's popularity if it was not handled well. Moreover, this was the first instance of such a thing, so it had to be handled properly. I think we should publish the entire process. Of course we have to admit our mistakes, but we also have to make sure that we minimize the negative impact on the show. If we do this, our fans will definitely understand and won't get carried away, and we'll also be able to increase our exposure. Teacher Huang had already thought of this step. It was really thoughtful. However, right at this moment, Teacher Huang suddenly saw a smile hanging on Director Wang Zhengyu's face, and was suddenly puzzled. I've been talking here for half a day, but the director has a smile on his face. Teacher Huang looked towards Director Wang with a puzzled face. No, what do you mean by smiling? Chapter 16. Popularity has increased? Mr. Huang went numb with laughter. He only saw Director Wang Zhengyu with a smile on his face, making Mr. Huang really puzzled. Just as he was wondering, Director Wang suddenly waved his hand towards Mr. Huang. Teacher Huang, let me tell you. Teacher Huang was puzzled, especially when he looked at Director Wang Zhengyu's mysterious appearance. The rest of the staff also looked at Teacher Huang with a smile on their faces. Ha ha, you can rest assured, Mr. Huang. Yeah, things aren't as bad as you think. What the hell is wrong with all of you? Are you still laughing at this time? At those words, Director Wang Zhengyu waved his hand. No need to be nervous. This matter is not as troublesome as you think. Mr. Huang's brows furrowed. Are you kidding me? There are injuries. This is a serious performance accident. If it's not handled properly, it will definitely have a bad impact on the program, and the live ratings for this installment will definitely plummet as well. In that case, the more Mr. Huang thought about it, the more distraught he became. When Director Wang heard this, but he shook his head for a while. Teacher Huang, where is there any performance accident? There is no such thing. Hearing this, Teacher Huang was even more confused. He was full of skepticism and said, Pang Pang was killed this time. Don't worry Mr. Huang, our careless accident this time not only didn't affect our popularity, but on the contrary, it increased a lot of attention. Wang Zhengyu spoke with gusto while calming Teacher Huang's emotions. Teacher Huang's entire body froze in place. What kind of argument was this? What did it mean by increasing attention? He completely couldn't figure out what the inevitable connection between the two was. And at this moment, Director Wang seemed to have gotten used to Teacher Huang's confused state and immediately added again. Teacher Huang, this time, our program group can be considered blessed by a disaster. I'm telling you, the effect of our program this time is simply great. Wang Zhengyu was incredibly excited and was about to continue. However, he was harshly interrupted by Mr. Huang. Wait. Teacher Huang's tone raised violently, clearly having become somewhat annoyed. Director Wang, may I ask what exactly do you mean by the so-called great effect just now? Meaning that the audience didn't react? Or does it mean that our camera position deliberately dodged and pulled away? But just according to that, we also have to be strict with ourselves. We can't be proud of this. It was important to know that performance accidents had always been harshly criticized by the audience, all representing irresponsibility and dereliction of duty on the part of the program team. Now that Director Wang Zhengyu even said such words, it simply made Mr. Huang feel ridiculous. Cough cough. Director Wang Zhengyu lightly coughed a few times and awkwardly said, Mr. Huang, you've misunderstood. This time, the audience's gazes are all focused on the little guy. All the discussion about it. Teacher Huang froze after hearing this. What do you mean? The attention is all focused on the little guy? Afraid of not being able to speak clearly, Director Wang Zhengyu also hurriedly asked his assistant director to call up the replay of the live broadcast. Mr. Huang, look. Director Wang Zhengyu clicked on the replay, only to see on the screen, the little guy was nimble in the forest, facing the swarm of bees without the slightest fear, protecting Sister Zifeng and Mimi in such a this intensive attack. Mr. Huang was astonished. There was also a screen full of pop-ups, all of which were what he wanted to say at the moment, and it was no wonder that no one noticed Pang Pang on the other side. After all, A large number of swarms of bees had all converged on Yang Mi and Zifeng's sister's side. The little guy's hands are surprisingly so nimble, Teacher Huang said in dismay. This time it was really thanks to the little guy. Otherwise there was no telling what kind of consequences it would bring. Teacher Huang couldn't help but suck in cold air as he watched this. Tonight, I'm going to give the little guy an extra meal, Teacher Huang said, but one size does not fit all. There was no excuse for this performance accident. Moreover, Teacher Wang, this incident is also considered to be a wake-up call. We must issue an apology statement on the official blog. Although the follow-up is properly handled, we must also apologize for the negligence of the show team's work, and don't wait for the audience to find out before mending the sheep. Mr. Huang righteously said, and the surrounding honeycomb, deal with it cleanly as soon as possible to avoid such incidents from happening again. Worthy of being Teacher Huang, he was really organized in handling things. After hearing Teacher Huang's instructions, Wang Zhengyu immediately agreed, and then began to go and deal with the relevant matters. Okay, Teacher Huang, I'm clear about this. On the other hand, when Teacher Huang was done with this side of things and went back, Yang Mi was holding Su Bai, and Sister Zifeng was ruining its little face, looking like it had recovered. Little guy, this time it's really thanks to you, otherwise we would have broken our faces today, Sister Zifeng said with a face full of celebration while teasing Su Bai. Su Bai was still lying in Yang Mi's arms, squinting its eyes. Originally, it was very resistant to the feeling of being treated as a pet like this, but after seeing Yang Mi, this resistance instantly dissipated without a trace. Moreover, Yang Mi had always treated it extremely well. Furthermore, Sister Mimi's delicate little hands were roaming around its body. It was extremely comfortable. Yang Mi was also filled with relief after hearing Zifeng's sister's words. She stretched out her index finger and gently scraped at Su Bai's forehead. Su Bai immediately revealed an expression of enjoyment, and even closed his eyes. His mouth slightly opened, and let out a comfortable and cozy moan. He then spread out his body and lazily lay in Yang Mi's arms like a kitten. A strange feeling surged through his entire body from his tailbone, causing Su Bai's body to go limp. Not bad, not bad. Surprisingly so comfortable. Then reluctantly let you serve me for a while. Inside the movie set, Pang Pang just came over after applying the medicine. He saw Su Bai's languid appearance, which was just too cute. In that instant he felt like his heart was going to be adorned by the little guy. This little thing is adorable. Pang Pang hurriedly ran to Yang Mi's side, wanting to reach out and touch it. But the moment Pang Pang reached out, Su Bai directly rolled over and rolled his eyes towards him. Looking at Pang Pang's hand was rough enough. It was definitely not comfortable to touch. Seeing that he seemed to have been targeted, Pang Pang felt a wave of embarrassment. He hurriedly drew his hand back, and before he could change the subject, he caused Sister Mimi and Sister Zifeng to giggle. Ha ha, this is too embarrassing. Don't worry Pumba, we all saw and noticed. The little guy's character seems to be at odds with Pang Pang. How come he doesn't feel like cooperating every time? Haha. Let Pang Pang also tease the little guy before, although it did not succeed it. The pop-ups in the live broadcast room rolled up quickly. Chapter 17 Pumba, little guy recognizes life? Slapped in the face by Young Z. Seeing Pang Pang's defeated appearance, the crowd was all overjoyed, and Pang Pang didn't dare to provoke Su Bai anymore, and obediently retreated to the back, but he still couldn't help stealing glances at Su Bai. Alright big guy, time waits for no one. The program team has already provided us with good ingredients, and the guests will be coming over later. Right at this moment, Teacher He and Teacher Huang walked over and said, although it was said to be provided by the program group, they actually had to pick it themselves. After picking, Sister Zifeng stayed in the kitchen built in the mushroom house to give Mr. Huang a hand. On the other hand, He took Pang Pang and the others to the vegetable field to work. Since the vegetables were planted by the program team, they needed the mushroom house's permanent staff to take care of the watering and insect repellent work. Only then can they get the right to use it. Pumba, on the other hand, was helping Mr. He with some auxiliary work. Yang Mi, on the other hand, accompanied the little one and held it in her arms. Yang Mi touched the scales on Su Bai's body and didn't feel spaced out at all. Instead it was very soft. The little guy seems to quite like me touching it like this. So at this moment, the little guy was rubbing against Yang Mi's arms. Not happy. When Teacher He heard this, he stopped the movements in his hands, turned around and said with a smile, "That's natural. Who let it be you who first found the little guy? It probably treats you like a mom." On the other hand, Pumba was muttering, "What Zifeng she doesn't resist either. It's just against." However, Pang Pang's words had not finished. Carrying a bucket of water walking on the ridge suddenly an unsteady center of gravity. Even a person with a bucket fell to the ground. The whole person knocked on the field canyon. Seeing this scene, Mr. Huang shook his head and lost his smile. Su Bai, on the other hand, stared at Pang Pang like a fool. Does this bastard have an IQ problem? After a short while, the exclusive doorbell of the mushroom house suddenly rang. It looked like a guest had come over. Soon, the door was opened. A male and a female guest fishtailed in. One of them, a girl wearing blue jeans and a white short-sleeved t-shirt, wore black-framed glasses, had a sweet look, and wore a ponytail. The other boy had a sunny and handsome look, wearing a beige sweater and a designer watch on his wrist. After Mr. He and the others saw it, they hurriedly greeted it. Yixing Yangzi, you guys are here. Yixing Yangzi was a relatively hot presence in the entertainment industry, and had also participated in many TV dramas and variety shows. Welcome to the Mushroom House, Teacher Huang also said politely, but caused the two juniors to arch their backs in a hurry. Teacher Huang, Teacher He, please give us more advice. But just as several people were being polite, Yang Zi suddenly discovered Subai in Yang Mi's arms. Sister Mimi, what is this? Your pet? Yang Zi was puzzled, but looking at Subai's appearance, she really couldn't name it. I haven't even seen this kind of animal. What is this? Seeing the doubt on Yang Zi's face, Yang Mi smiled. This is our mushroom house's new favorite. We all call it Little Guy. It's our mushroom house's lucky star. When introducing it, Yang Mi's face was filled with pride. Little Guy? When Yang Zi heard this, her two eyes shone brightly as she looked at the little guy. Little Guy, new friends say hello? Yang Mi swung her arm and looked at Subai and said with a smile. Originally it was just a joke. Yang Mi also saw Yang Zi's love for the little guy, but Subai originally had an empty belly, had consumed so much physical strength, and was here listening to them being polite for half a day. Now he even had to go and greet them. It was really too tiring, so Subai tilted his head, looked at Yang Zi and said, so annoying, I'm hungry. But after this sentence made a sound, what entered the ears of the crowd was indeed a cute and adorable owl, together with Subai's lovely appearance, and this cute and adorable voice right after Yang Mi's words fell. So in the eyes of the crowd, Subai looked like he had attached himself to a greeting. Yang Zi was surprised when she heard it. Ha ha, the little guy is really greeting us. Yeah, this little guy is really too funny. I like it. Zhang Yixing also heard an owl and laughed. Teacher He and the others followed suit and laughed in surprise. None of them had expected Subai to be so cooperative. After saying that just now, Yang Zi was surprised and wanted to reach forward to touch Subai. After Pang Pang saw this, he said with a fake confidence, don't worry, the little guy won't let you touch it. It's a bit cognizant of life. Except for Sister Zifeng and Sister Mimi, no one can. Pang Pang's words hadn't even finished yet, when he saw that under Yang Zi's hand that reached over. Subai behaved surprisingly without a trace of resistance. Just like that, he let Yang Zi caress the little guy's head. At that moment, Pumba's entire body was bad. Ha 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 ha, laughing my ass off, Pumba is being slapped in the face. Ha 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 ha, pissed myself laughing. Pumba, I knew this would happen. And it did. Ha 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 ha, just look at Pumba's expression now. He's absolutely dumbfounded. Crap, don't stop me. Crap, don't stop me. Let me keep laughing. The viewers in the pop-up screen were eating melons and watching the moment Pang Pang was hit in the face. This is simply differentiated treatment. Pang Pang really didn't know what to say and simply shut up and went silent. However, this made him look even more pathetic. The little guy can be spiritual. He even saved us this morning. Seeing this, Yang Mi proudly said, and then told the two what happened this morning. Oh, there's actually such a thing. The two guests also revealed a look of surprise. So smart. Listening to the two men praising Subai, Pang Pang's mood became more and more depressed. This comparison, coupled with the fact that he was doused with water today, made him look even dumber. Not only Pang Pang, even the rest of the staff members were casting envious and jealous eyes at Yang Mi. After all, the little guy is so cute and well-behaved, and secure at critical moments in exchange. Any female student would not be able to reject the little guy. I'm afraid, especially Yang Zi, especially like, this little guy is really so well-behaved. Little guy, hello. Yang Zi smiled and touched the little guy's head and said with a gentle smile. The little guy looked up at Yang Zi, then once again lowered his head and rested in Yang Mi's arms. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but smile. The little guy seems a bit high-strung. Yang Mi couldn't help but laugh. However, right at this moment, Zhang Yixing seriously looked at Subai. His eyes froze slightly. This little guy, it looks as if it's somewhat familiar. After hearing Zhang Yixing's words, Teacher Huang and the others also gathered around once again, examining the little guy in Yang Mi's arms. Chapter 18, Laughing doesn't live up to the little guy's direct message to Pumba to shut up? Subai didn't take it seriously and skimmed his mouth. Getting close as soon as he came? Familiarization my ass. How could big star Zhang Yixing know himself? Even in his previous life, he had only seen each other in movies. In the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, the posture is different. See, the little guy crooked mouth. Wow, it's so cute. This crooked mouth posture looks like a crispy shark. Yeah, Yeah, it's like the Jaws beer logo. The little guy is skimming his lips, meaning he doesn't know Zhang Yixing. Ha ha, means I am a national protected animal, status higher than a star. You don't deserve it. Subai's face was full of black lines. These netizens are so rich in association. Yang Zi face surprised. This little guy, really understand human language ah? She got curious and reached over to touch Subai's head. Pang Pang heatedly laughed from the side. He won't give you a touch. The little guy recognizes life. Except for Sister Honey and Sister Zifeng. Other people can't lay their hands on him. As a result, Subai had a soothing expression and did not resist being touched by a beautiful girl. No loss. Pumba felt his face swelling up. This little guy, making a distinction. Right, how can you touch him all the girls? Good guy. I'm going to the United Nations to sue you for sex discrimination. Yang Mi had a proud face. Hey, my little guy can be spiritual. Know how to distinguish between good people and bad people. Pumba almost vomited blood. Dare I be the bad guy? Yang Mi had a serious face. That's right, the little guy will avoid danger. He even saved us in the morning. Over there, Zhang Yixing was greeting Mr. He, after all, he was the junior. After chatting briefly, he twisted his head and curiously swept a glance at Subai. Subai, on the other hand, swung his fist and called at Zhang Yixing. How could you possibly know me? From where? In the eyes of the audience, the scene was amusing, only to see the scales on Subai's back standing up, waving his claws at Zhang Yixing. Ha ha, the little guy said he doesn't recognize you. That's right, even though you are a love bean, you can't climb high. There are many love beans, there is only one precious beast. Explain yourself. Have you ever seen a beast of the same species? Or else the little guy will get angry and turn into a 1,000-foot dragon and swallow you up. Subai's face was full of black lines. 1,000 feet big dragon. I am not Ultraman. Zhang Yixing touched his head. This little guy seems like a dragon. Our country's spiritual totem. It's exactly the same as the bubble dragon in my game. That's why I said I've seen it. Subai instantly quieted down, lying in Big Nini's arms. I knew you hadn't seen me before. That said, it's still comfortable in Big Nini's arms. Soft and soft, so big two cushions. Yang Mi haha laughs. It's a little bit like a dragon law. I heard Mr. Huang say that it might be some kind of lizard that lives by the sea. This little guy now, is our mushroom house's lucky thing. Oh, everyone didn't put much stock in it. After all, in this world, how could there be dragons? Only Pang Pang was still excited to share the origin of Subai to Zhang Yixing, stating that having Subai was all his own merit. When I picked it up, this little guy was still an egg. There are still scales on top of the egg, as if they were carved on it. Lifelike. He. Under my teaching, it's very humane. Subai listened, simply annoyed. This Pang Pang really talks a lot. Moreover, this grandpa is obviously picked up by Yang Mi. What does it matter to you? Here to take credit. I don't want you to teach me how to be a human being. Humph. If not now is the dragon form. Minutes to teach you to be human. His stomach was really hungry, so he wailed and jumped down from Yang Mi's arms. Although he couldn't let go of those two cushions, eating was more important than sleeping. Only to see Subai, twisting left and right, came to Pang Pang directly across from him and stood up. Two paws crossed his waist, opened his mouth wide, and then closed it with a bite. Crowd? Pumba was also confused. What does this mean? Subai sighed. Stupid humans ah. It repeated what it had just done again and then, with a bang, closed its mouth. It was actually Yang Zi who was the first to react. Ha ha ha, the little one told you to shut up. Ga 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 ga. Subai all winced. Holy, Yang Zi is so showy and laughs so devilishly. But this laughter, it was really penetrating and infectious. Everyone laughed. Even Subai also laughed, swinging to stand beside Yang Zi, leaning towards Yang Zi's leg. Hasn't eaten yet. The dragon's appetite is big again. Feeling so hungry. Find a leaning to conserve energy. The netizens in the live broadcast room directly exploded. This guy is really listening to human language ah. Right ah. Just now can also use luck to explain. This is directly proved. Just now that expression. Even if it is a mime actor, acting is not as realistic as it ah. There really are spirit animals in this world. What did I say? This guy is a dragon. Now you believe me. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it even if you say it can grow taller than a skyscraper. The only one who didn't laugh was Pumba, who was dumbfounded. He was actually told to shut up by an animal for the first time in his life. This guy was also a naive batch. Actually ran to Yang Zi's side and directly sought Subai's theory. Ah, little guy, you can't be beneficent. I was introducing your merits to the big star. Ah, how can you directly tell me to shut up? No manners at all. But I picked you up from the seashore. I'm your regenerative parent. Subai heard a bunch of alpaca galloped past. Not at all you pick up good, but also regenerative parents. You take advantage of my cheap Besides, when did you introduce my merits? It's all about bragging about yourself. Only to see Pumba turn his head, facing the live broadcast, smug. You guys misunderstood. Its mouth is opening and closing. It's obviously hungry. I'm its regenerative parent. How could I tell me to shut up? Before he could finish, Pumba felt a fiery pain in his leg. Holy, it can't be that he was inadvertently bitten by a bee in the morning and the toxin is just now kicking in. Before he finished his thought, his legs were in hot pain again, as if he was being whipped. Looking down, Pumba was petrified on the spot. It was actually Subai who used his tail as a whip to forcefully whip his leg. Pang Pang was completely dumbfounded. My ass, this is also a direct torture. Subai is also very angry, posing as someone else's parents. This kind of unethical thing you can also do. Luckily I am a small dragon. When I grow into a big dragon, a tail will whip you to the moon. Seeing Pang Pang glaring at himself, Subai was nonchalant, and directly washed his tail immediately, erecting it next to his mouth. Now, the netizens in the live broadcast room all exploded. Holy, silencing gesture. Shut up. This I understand. This 500% is the meaning of shut up. You still say this little guy doesn't understand human language, haha. I think this little guy is much smarter than even Pumba. Just now, Pumba identified the precious animal's parents, and was lashed by the little guy with his tail. Did you see it? I saw it. I saw it. Holy, it's a dragon. A noble intelligent race. Pumba was stunned. What the hell? Is it really an intelligent creature? Chapter 19, Guests and your heart are connected, and the programmers play with their brains apart from this. Pumba is not willing. I am the main character of this program. I cannot be stolen by Subai, he said to the netizens in a serious manner. Don't get up in arms. In this world, where is there any dragon? This should be the special lizard. In fact, Pang Pang was also afraid in his heart. In case the little guy was really some kind of dragon, it was definitely protected. Bringing a protected animal live. Would the program be stopped? The netizens in the live broadcast room were up in arms even more. Hey, you're afraid that this is a dragon and will be taken by the Biological Research Institute to do experiments affecting the program, aren't you? You, the regenerative parent, will also be taken to the experiment together. Let's add a few sensitive words and let Pumba do the experiment. Dragon, 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 dragon. To the east comes Bruce Lee. To the west comes a Jackie Chan. Ha 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 ha. Even lizards have protection. Oh Pumba, is there panic in your heart? Pumba was filled with black lines. These netizens are all only concerned about the world. Yang Zi, on the other hand, curiously touched Subai's head. Wow, this little guy is really smart. That being said, this Yang Zi looked showy, but her hand force was quite large, completely the stance of the iron sand palma, laughing and magical. Standard woman. Subai touched his head. Fortunately it was not a lizard with hair on its head. Being touched would not turn bald, although you can only become strong when you are bald. But you don't have hair. You are already strong, right? Teacher, he also came over to praise Subai, nodding his head repeatedly. He's a strong learner. He can learn anything as soon as he learns it. Lizard, easy to learn. Yangmi directly hugged Subai in her arms, her face full of smiles. That's of course. Don't look at whose little baby this is. Then also to Subai's head is a little. Mwah 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 mwah. Subai is also face smile open flowers. This has two cushions to lean against. And soft, and fragrant. Comfortable really, or do small animals good? I do not want to do people Yangmi touched Subai's head again. The little one must be hungry. Let's start eating. Subai hemmed and hawed and struck a belly up pose. Then, breathlessly lying between Yangmi's two cushions. That said, it's worthy of being a big honey other people's cushions, at most clip pencils and cell phones. Big honey's cushion, can directly clip a head full of elasticity. Subai directly used the cushion to do 2 pull-ups, and then turned over, lying to the top of the cushion. Soft, comfortable, more comfortable than Simmons. Subai is happy and comfortable, and also rolled his eyes at Pang Pang. Pang Pang is messed up in the wind. This little guy, specifically, and I can't stand it. The netizens in the live broadcast room, directly laughed not live. Ha 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 ha. This little guy, kinda knows how to enjoy himself. Hey, lizards all have flying colorful luck, so I want to exchange life with lizards. I would like to become a lizard and lie next to a cushion. Don't make a wish. Tomorrow, you'll become a mosquito-eating gecko on the ceiling. Go go go. At least want a lizard. Gecko that small body, not be big honey to clip into a meat pie. Over there, Yang Mimi has entered the kitchen with Subai in her arms. Teacher Huang and Sister Zifeng warmly greeted Yang Zi. Zhang Yixing, on the other hand, came up and joked with Teacher Huang. Master, do you still remember the friendship of recording chicken strips with me back then? A master. So that the live broadcast netizens are suddenly overwhelmed with emotion, brushing Master Ching back in unison. Tears fell. Wow. Unknowingly, chicken strip program are in thaw. Yes, at that time Zhang Yixing is still half red not black, now is already acting school movie Big Shot. Hey, my youth. The program has been on the air for decades, just a few years. Hey, the years are not forgiving. Think of the years. Mr. Huang TV series playing cousin, now can only play the scar greasy uncle. Yes, my youthful birdie is gone for good. Now, it's Mr. Huang's turn to have black lines all over his face. What greasy uncle? I call this literary middle-aged. Literary middle-aged good. Yixing laughed and hurried over to steer the conversation away. Everyone, this time I came over and secretly brought 10 pounds of steak. From the master. I've learned a lot of cooking skills, and this time I'm going to show you all a hand. The program group was actually guarding against this kind of thing, but because Yixing did things very secretly, the program group didn't find out. Subai was lying in Yang Mi's arms, also nodding his head in satisfaction. The flavor of steak, he still missed it. His adorable appearance caused Yang Zi to pet his head favorably. The audience in the live broadcast room also instantly became excited. Ha ha, how did Zhang Yixing manage to hide 10 pounds of steak under that small body? Simple tied to the body just like tying a dynamite packet. If you watch the movie, you will know that those human bombs, the whole body is densely tied with a piece of the appearance cannot see. Holy, you make it sound scary. It's great to see the crew show off their skills and make a big steak. It's great to see the crew show off their skills and make a big steak. Who would have thought that on the other side of the camera, the director's team had already taken it all in? What? Actually brought in 10 pounds of steak. This is cheating. They don't talk about martial arts. Immediately called Mr. Huang Mr. He out. Beautifully discussing the next plan. Over there, let the staff find an excuse to debug the recording equipment, and sneak the steak away in the meantime. The action is more covert. Simply amazing pirates level. Other people all did not find. Only Subai noticed it. After all, its focus has always been on the steak. Seeing that the food was gone, Subai instantly had the scales on his back stand up and shouted, "Don't steal this master's food. Put it down for the master. Otherwise, I'll spray fire on you." Stupid humans completely ignorant of the animal's biggest taboo, which is to be robbed of the food that comes to its mouth. It tried to breathe fire, but it was useless. All that came out was spittle. It seems that he is not a fire-breathing dragon breed. The other people's ears only saw Subai waving his little paw. A burst of ow. Spittle flying. They thought that Subai was hungry and was clamoring for food. Yang Mi was the one who loved Subai the most, and immediately coaxed Subai with a doting face. "Good boy, the rice will be ready soon. Hungry right? I'll go get you a milk pad." Subai looked at Big Honey. "Milk this thing still need to take it. In front of my eyes. There is not a ready-made it. Why can't people see what's right in front of them?" Yang Mi greeted Zifeng's sister to come and hug Subai, and went to find milk for Subai herself. Seeing that no one noticed the steak stealing, Subai roared for a while and gesticulated. "No, hey, steak the steak is gone. There's a thief. The steak was stolen." But his reaction, in the eyes of the crowd, was that he was simply hungry. Zifeng's sister hemmed and hawed. Don't panic. There will be delicious food in a while." She came over and hugged Subai. Subai immediately felt that the softness was gone. Instead there was a bit of knocking panic. Chapter 20 Help. Lost your steak? Prime suspect, Subai. Over there. Big Meanie quickly came back. It had to be said that Big Meanie really spoiled Subai. Not only did she have milk, but also camel's milk, coconut milk, and brought them all over in one bone. This was definitely a good babysitter in life. Subai was not interested in milk at all. After thinking about it, he stretched out his little paw and pushed it to Zifeng's sister. Sister Zifeng stroked Subai's head. Ha, the little guy really understands and knows how to love people. Good boy. Little guy, you drink. Sister is not hungry. She pushed the milk back to Subai, who pushed it back again, back and forth twice. Zifeng's sister gave the whole thing a miss. This Subai is engaged in what this is too modest. Is it the legendary dinosaur to let the pair? Dinosaurs have innate virtues. Subai sighed, then picked up the biggest can with his paw and handed it to Zifeng's sister. At the same time, his eyes swept over Zifeng's sister's chest. The eyes were pure and flawless, as if they were looking at a monument that was smooth as a mirror on all sides. Zifeng's sister's innocent smile suddenly stiffened at this moment. What did this pure look and deep sigh mean? Let me drink milk? It can't be. Zifeng's sister swept Subai to hand over the biggest can of something. Holy, coconut tree brand coconut milk. Coconut tree or that unique box body advertisement. Above is the sister-in-law Su Dongdong with 4 siblings dancing, next to the famous advertisement. I grew up drinking it. Sister Zifeng lowered her head, looked at herself, then at Yang Mi's cushion, then looked at Subai with an evil look, with very evil eyes. The audience in the live broadcast room, at once, couldn't live with their laughter. Ha 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 ha, Sister Zifeng has to grow up fast. Don't panic, Zifeng's sister is still young. There is still a lot of room for growth. I don't know. You're still living in the years when she played the Chinese street sleuth. Zifeng is over 20 years old. Looks like the room for growth is very limited. Looks like there's only so much room for growth. So I'll have to take a lot of coconut tree drinks. Still the little one understands. Seems to be a real dragon. Even the dinosaur knows how to make a pair. Look at that look in Zifeng's sister's eyes. It's a bit scary. Subai looked at Zifeng's sister's eyes, and his heart was also a little panicked. Isn't this meow the same look that Zifeng's sister's character showed in Chinese street sleuths after being revealed by the sleuths? At that time, he also praised Zifeng's sister's excellent acting skills. Is it not acting? It can't be the original color. I'll be damned. It will not be a hidden murderer or something. I should not be dismantled. Right. I remembered that the program team seems to have a chainsaw for cutting down trees, so I have to hide it quickly. Fortunately, Yang Mi immediately came over and picked up Subai. Being held in Yang Mi's arms, Subai immediately felt like he had come back to life. The soft cushion was really comfortable. Over there, Pang Pang and Yixing were busy in the kitchen for a while before serving the dishes on the table. The aroma was overflowing. Subai smacked his lips. The food is good, but there is no steak. Is a deep regret. Yang Mi went over to help. After preparing Subai's meal, put Subai on the floor. Subai wailed and went over to sweep Zhang Yixing's legs with his tail to attract Zhang Yixing's attention. After thinking about it, it used its paws to form two horns on its head, making a mooing cow call. But it didn't work. Subai felt that he was making a cow mooing sound, and to the audience's ears, it all sounded like an owl roar. Zhang Yixing was also baffled. Bubble Dragon, what's wrong with you? Pumba immediately came over. This is where you don't understand the animal's unique way of communication. It is comparing two horns on its head, meaning to ask you if your favorite bubble dragon has such big horns. Subai heart countless animals from the grassland trampled over. You will not translate, do not mess translation good. Really sad. Their own rebirth, how not to come a little supernormal capabilities? Otherwise, I must use love to generate electricity. Electricity you wow. At this time, Mr. Huang walked in, and once he came in, he was puzzled. Where's the steak and beef? I just marinated it and put it here. Why is it all gone? It was only when Mr. Huang said this that everyone realized that the steaks were gone. At once everyone panicked. Mr. He hurriedly asked, is it possible that you remembered the wrong place? Teacher Huang's face was filled with black lines. How can I remember wrongly? It's not like I have Alzheimer's. Yang Mi thought for a moment. Could it be that we accidentally put it somewhere when we packed it up just now? Yang Zi also pulled Zifeng's sister up. Let's hurry up and look for it. Pang Pang, you come and help too. Subai didn't bother to pay attention to them. Humph. I told you long ago that someone was stealing the steak and ignoring me. It's been more than half an hour before I realized it. Humans, too stupid. Subai was also lazy, saying that the program team took it. They couldn't understand it. Simply take advantage of everyone's absence, and very skillfully enjoy the food in his bowl. Still Yang Mi loved it, and had long prepared Subai's meal. A large chicken leg and a bowl of meat soup, bubbling with hot aroma. Yummy, yummy. Over here, a group of people rummaged through the box for half a day, searching in vain, with frustrated faces. Yang Mi rubbed her head. Otherwise, let's eat first. Pang Pang swept a glance at Subai, who was feasting, and had a sudden thought. Teacher Huang. When he brought the steak over just now, the little guy was so excited. You say, will this steak be stolen by the little guy? The spoon in Subai's paw snapped and fell into the bowl. What? Actually falsely accusing this grandpa of being a thief. You are killing a good person and falsely accusing him of being a thief. I am not really a human being, but you really are not a human being. Thinking of this, Subai jumped 3 feet high and pointed at Pang Pang wailing. When he looked at it, there was an electronic scale next to it, which was used by Yang Mi to weigh herself, and she directly rolled on it. The weight shows 4 pounds and 3 taels. Pang Pang has not yet reacted. The netizens of the live broadcast room has been unanimous on his verbal abuse. Idiot, that beef plus a piece must be more than 5 pounds. The little guy himself is not 5 pounds. Yes, it's too much to eat, right? The little guy is so smart. He knows how to weigh and clear his name. Chao Chong weighed an elephant, and now the little guy weighs himself. This is a personality. No, the animal personality has been insulted, and justice must be done. Yang Mi picked up Pang Pang's ears. How dare you falsely accuse my little guy of being a thief? Zifeng's sister also came up to complain. Brother, you always think that the little guy did everything. This mentality, how dark is it? Pang Pang was verbally attacked by the crowd, and looked at the two teachers in an aggrieved manner. Teacher Huang pondered for a moment and suddenly spoke. No, It's really possible that the little guy took it. The little guy might be hungry and steal part of it. The part that can't be eaten will be secretly stored in a place according to the animal's habits. Convenient for the next time when there is no food. Go over and consume it. Subai stared at Mr. Huang. Holy, it's just as well that Pang Pang, the thieving eyebrow guy, falsely accused me. You, with your thick eyebrows, also framed me? Chapter 21 Good man. This little guy, is it a preference for girls over boys? What makes Subai unhappy is that the netizens in the live broadcast room actually also stand on the side of Mr. Huang. Mr. Huang has a point. This habit of the animal, we all know it well. That's right, maybe it's really the little guy, dragged it to another place. The little guy is a glutton. We all know that. Just now, he was looking at the beef, wailing, wait, that little guy also jumped on the scale to prove his innocence. I wipe, this IQ then humans are high to the level of the League of Warlords I'm going to go, almost by the little guy muddled through. Subai was speechless on the spot, knowing that Pang Pang's words had no credibility when spoken. Mr. Huang, that was different. That spoke with some authority. So sometimes one good person's misunderstanding is better than 100 bad people's false accusations. Even Yang Ni and Zifeng's sister couldn't find anything to say to refute, so they had to come over and hug Subai. Zifeng's sister hugged Subai. Yang Ni touched Subai's head. Little guy, it's okay to eat it. The rest, hurry up and hand it over. Everyone also gathered around. Subai was speechless. You guys still really think I ate it? That was uncooked beef. This grandpa never eats raw meat. This is outrageous. Pang Pang, a big pie face at the forefront. He. Little guy, is the beef stolen by you? Hurry up and hand it over. It would be a shame if my famous detective Pang Pang reasoned out where it is. Subai glared up at Pang Pang. If he was reasoned out by this confused detective, wouldn't it be endless? As long as it was a person, they would be misled by Pang Pang. Thinking of this, Subai intentionally yawned, and some of the meat froth in his teeth flew into Pang Pang's face. Pang Pang, the crowd hilariously laughed. And the netizens in the live broadcast room couldn't live with their laughter. Ha, directly spat on a face. In the lines of the underground transportation station, I spit on your face with. That's the villain's line. Our little guy is spitting on your face. If the little guy is really a dragon, it's said that dragon's saliva can make clouds and rain, so can eating it prolong your life? Pang Pang is not interested in using Subai's saliva to prolong his life, and immediately went to wash his face. Subai jumped 3 feet high. It spat on Pang Pang's face. Just to let everyone see. Teeth are chicken. Where is the beef? Have not eaten beef at all. This is good. The evidence was destroyed by Pang Pang. This group of people cannot count on, or have to count on the big honey. Subai rushed to the big honey pointing to his mouth. Ow. Everyone couldn't understand what it meant and looked at Big Nini. Yang Nini thought about it, and with a flash of light in her head, she snapped her fingers. I know. I must have eaten too much and stuffed my teeth. I'll go get a toothbrush and help it brush. Before Subai could react, Yang Mi had already come over with a toothbrush and toothpaste. After a burst of scrubbing and brushing, Subai's mouth was full of foam, and all the evidence in his teeth was destroyed and gone. Subai wailed, and a bunch of bubbles floated out of his mouth. The netizens of the live broadcast room, can be happy. Ha. This is the real bubble dragon. There are no dragons in the world, but it's nice to be a lizard that can blow bubbles. There is nothing strange in the world. How can you be sure that there are no dragons? Dragons have their own characteristics and magical powers. Look at Mulan. That ant-sized dragon can breathe fire. Yes, even the ones that are not so good can fly. That's a cartoon or anime imposition. In the Chronicles, dragons walk, and the Yellow Emperor used a dragon to pull a cart. Although the historical record is also a semi-myth, it is more reliable than the animated comics and novels. The netizens in the live broadcast room made a lot of noise, and Subai continued to blow bubbles to play. Anyway, he is already full. He is now a dragon. Not to mention that he didn't eat the beef. Even if he did, it's still a deserved benefit. Pang Pang brought his big pie face over again. Subai looked at Pang Pang through the bubbles, and that big pie face was extraordinarily large. Looking at Subai laughed out loud, jumped up on the table, took a big cake, and gestured at Pang Pang. The crowd all looked at Pang Pang. Pang Pang hemmed and hawed. The big cake is made of flour. The little guy is heartbroken and wants to make a mask for me. Yang Zi's heart was straight. Pull back. The little guy is saying that you are a big cake face. The crowd burst into laughter, and Subai laughed and rolled on the table. This Yang Zi looked as if she was better at communicating. Pumba reached out to hug Subai. Little guy, good boy. Quickly tell me where the rest of the beef is. Subai directly clawed over and peeled Pang Pang's hand away. Go away. Go away. You're the one who started the bad thing, causing me to be treated like a thief. Still want to bail me out? Not even a door. Teacher, he held up his gold-rimmed glasses. Speaking of which, why do I always feel that the little guy is targeting Pang Pang so much? Zhang Yixing hammed and hawed. It must be because Pang Pang is ugly. Pang Pang almost fell to the ground in an inverted position. Are you a human being saying this? Zhang Yixing fell on his face. There's a song called I'm Ugly Me But I'm Gentle. Pumba is ugly and not gentle. Definitely will be disliked by animals. Subai couldn't live with his laughter and directly lay down on the table and rolled around. Zhang Yixing took advantage of the chaos and came over, stretching out his salty pig hand. Or let me ask. Subai directly opened Zhang Yixing's hand as well with a claw. Go away, go away. Men are all big pig hooves. Can pig hooves also touch this great master? The mouth also made a woo-woo sound, meaning go away. Pang Pang laughs not live. Let you just laugh at me. And now on the spot to be hit in the face. Mr. Huang wanted to come over and ask, but was pulled by Zhang Yixing. Master, I think, it might only work if Mr. He comes to ask. Master, you'd better not try. Your face is not good in the first place. Teacher Huang was speechless. Holy, I didn't just play a scarred uncle, and I have a bad face. In the early years, I played a suave cousin. Okay, but it seems that the cousin is not a positive character. All day seeking flowers and willow. Teacher, he laughed and walked towards Subai in a very friendly manner. Mister, he is indeed in line with the image of a good old man, and his reputation in the inner entertainment for so many years is also well known. Belonging to the rare figure in inner entertainment whose persona had not collapsed, everyone felt that teacher he coming to ask would definitely work. Teacher, he approached and asked Subai with a smile. Little guy. Before teacher he finished asking, Subai directly clawed teacher his hand and peeled it away as well. Go away. Go away. All a bunch of big pig hooves. Stay away from me. The crowd was stunned. Actually even teacher he was defeated. What's wrong with the little guy? Doesn't anyone hesitate to hitch a ride? Teacher Huang, who had been watching coldly from the side, was suddenly struck by an idea. I have a feeling. This little guy, is he just simply disliking us boys?